9KNXX Donaldsonville and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour is brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. Now, Hangin with Hester and Hanny with Jacob Hester and Charles Hanagriff. Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger. Alongside Jacob Hester, here's Charles Hanagriff.
Good afternoon and welcome to Hangin with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. If you're listening along with us on 1130 The Tiger up in Shreveport, welcome in. If you are watching along with us on CST or on our YouTube page, 104.5 ESPN, or the Hangin with Hester and Hanny page, we welcome you in. Cade Wazan, our audio producer, and Playboy Marty is our video producer today. They gave Paul O'Neill the day off, so if anything goes crazy on the video screen behind us, it's Playboy Marty. He's flying solo today.
I've got faith in Playboy Marty. 318-31 great. He's going to do fantastic.
You know, he started out. Give us the early returns on. He had his first show last night. Mr. Fantasy, dear Mr. Fantasy. Marty, how'd it go? First, you and Mincy after Tiger Zone last night. Turn your microphone on. That's always the first step.
You can't do that.
There you go.
Yeah, that's not on me.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but no, it went really well. It was a little awkward getting it started. Anyone who watches the video, you can hear Mintz saying that we were going to start the intro music. But
That's okay.
but other than that, once we got going, it was pretty damn good.
All right. So we start. It's such a newsy day. A lot of things going on. Obviously, the return of the Big Ten has been dominating the national landscape. Now we get word that the Pac-12 is at least moving in that direction. The Mountain West would like to follow them. It is a little bit reminiscent of what happened the other way when this started back in August, when the Big Ten said, we're out. The Pac said, oh, we're out. The Mountain West said, oh, we're out. The MAC says, oh, we're out. Well, once the Southern conferences, the SEC, the ACC, and then the Big 12, which remained a big deal back then, said, no, hang on. We wondered, is this going to turn around? This would be a referendum on whether this worked or not. If the season was able to get in, then, well, the ones that tried to go forward would, be proven right. And I don't want to be proven right so much as I'd like everybody to be able to move forward safely. Well, now this is kind of the opposite effect. The protocols worked well enough that the first 2 weeks of college football came off. They did not come off without a hitch. We never expected them to. There were going to be cancellations. There were going to be postponements. That's just the nature of what it costs to do this now. But it was also going to be a large group that was going to be able to do this, and it was going to require some creativity. If you want to know how much creativity, go read Ross Dellinger's piece on what Baylor and Houston did to get a game scheduled this weekend. It was not an easy thing. They put it together in less than a day, and we're talking about contract, a day and a half to do all the things they needed to do to move a team from Houston to Waco, get them fed, get them housed, get them there, and get them playing a game. And by the way, tell a coach that he's got 7 days to prepare for a game that he didn't know he was going to play. So a lot of that went into it. And then the Pac-12, got into it. Wait, hang on. And we all understand that they're dealing with way more problems than just COVID. But hang on. Maybe we can get our student athletes back to practicing. There were some bumps in the road there. One particular politician saying, well, can you just practice 5-on-5 for a while? No, that's not going to work. Sorry. It's football. We're going to have to do a little bit better than that. But working again towards trying to solve the problems that come with this. Again, it's not without its bumps in the road. Charlotte and North Carolina are not going to play now this weekend. Those are just some of the things that are going to happen. Be prepared.
They had the same situation as Arkansas State. It wasn't a necessarily team outbreak, but it was a position group outbreak.
Mm-hmm. And more of a contact tracing outbreak this time.
Yeah.
This was one person that had it, and I think it was half a dozen, maybe 8 people that had been exposed to it. So you hear outbreaking, you think, oh my gosh, all of these people are sick. All these people are, symptomatic. No, one person tested positive, weren't even necessarily symptomatic. The rest of them were just around that one person. The protocols are so strict that, that's enough to shut it down, but it doesn't mean that it's crisis situation where you're talking about hospitalizations or symptomatic kids because they went back to school. And that's where it's just calm down, okay? Yeah, they might test positive. Yeah, they might get sick. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to die tomorrow. Okay, we're doing the best we can. It's a serious, serious issue. So try not to panic. I think that we're seeing more of that, and it's frankly it's refreshing that we're seeing that. So I thought that was all good news. We got good news from the NCAA yesterday on basketball. Been worried about basketball kind of in the background because it wasn't first. The football was first, but said this a number of times on the show. Back in the middle of the summer when the NCAA's infectious disease doctor said, listen, in the fall, what you should really be worried about is basketball and wrestling because they're inside, because it's close physical contact, and there's virtually no protective gear. Yesterday, the NCAA gave the go-ahead for college basketball to start pretty much on time. There's a few little restrictions. There's a decrease in the games by 4, but they didn't automatically nix all of the non-conference schedule. They are allowing them to start practice on time. They're allowing them to start the season in November. And again, frankly, a month ago, it was like, well, if college basketball starts, it might have to start in January. It might have to start conference only. It might have to start practice later. It might be no fans in the stands for the entire season. At least they are now into a position where they're going to start on time. They know the protocols. They've got a lot more information that they had when that doctor had to make a determination back in the summer. I thought that was good news. If you're a college basketball fan, we're moving in that direction as well. So those two things I thought were tremendously positive. We got Bengals and the Browns tonight, so your chance to see Joe Burrow. And you can hear the game, I do believe, right here, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. So we'll talk a little bit about that. The U.S. Open is underway. Patrick Reed is right now on the lead at -4. We've got a new class, the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. They announced their 2021 class. Is it fair to say that this was a pretty decorated class?
Absolutely. One of my former teammates.
Glenn Dorsey.
That's when you know you're getting old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whenever your teammates are starting to go into Hall of Fames and, you got a wait period after that, it's like, all right, you're getting old.
Glenn Dorsey is going into the Hall of Fame. Ricky Weeks, great baseball player, the Golden Spikes winner from Southern, is going in. Marcus Colston, the all-time leading receiver for the Saints, is going in. Pat Henry, who won more national championships at LSU in track and field than I think any coach in the Southeastern Conference won championships in anything, is going into the Hall of Fame. So we're going to talk with Ronnie Rance about that. All of those things, I think, going on good. We'll talk a little bit about the Saints, the Michael Thomas injury. We touched on this yesterday, but it looks like, he's going to miss more time than he would have wanted, and, more time than the Saints obviously would have wanted. But Sean Payton, as his policy, doesn't talk about that stuff. You'll get an injury report, and you'll deal with it. Certainly don't expect to see him against either the Raiders or the Packers, and then they'll reevaluate from there. So not necessarily it's a positive story, but it's something else that we're talking about today. Coach Osho for the first time last night. Good turnout at TJ Ribs.
I was going to ask you if you had a chance to tune in.
I did. We were listening actually in studio where we're getting ready for Tiger Zone. So got a chance to hear that. Different setup, it's just what it's the price of doing business. A petition between he and Chris Blair. You're not the audience is not allowed to go up to him. It's not as close quarters as it usually is there with the tables and stuff like that. But we got a show. Got to hear from the coach, and it sounded like he's a guy that's ready to play football. Aren't we all ready to see Southeastern Conference football?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't get a chance to tune in because the Irish were playing last night.
How did the Irish do? I forgot to ask.
The Irish had a good night, 34-6. 34-6.
You covered.
Yeah, we covered.
Playboy Marty only made you lay 3.5 points.
We covered. Proud of them. Proud of everybody, man. It's a lot of fun when you've not been able to go out there and see kids have fun like that for a very long time, like we've dealt with in this situation. It was so great to see the smiles on everybody's face. It didn't matter if you're winning, if you're losing, if they pulled your flag, if you scored a touchdown. Everybody was having a heck of a time. So it was good to be out there and see everybody. I didn't get a chance to see Blaine Besh and Matt Flynn's team, but I heard they had a big night as well. I got to check in with Jordy. I'm sure they won.
Why are you sure they won?
Because have you ever seen Jordy out there? He's going to have his team ready to go.
I've heard. I haven't seen. Okay, that's good. Besh is in our good graces today anyway, so we'll give his team a little shout out.
But the coach is the quarterback on their team because they're in the kindergarten league, and Flynn doesn't play quarterback. That one confused me.
Do you just feel like you go out there and imagine if you're on the other team, your kindergartner goes out there and the guy on the other side, played in the NFL for 10 years.
Yeah.
It could be a little bit problematic. It's like, really? Come on, man.
No, well,
Give us a chance.
He gave me a hard time last year because I had to be the quarterback. And so if I missed a throw, he was going to let me know about it. So I was hoping I could heckle him.
Flynn's not going to miss any throws.
No, he's not. He's going to be. It's either going to be really, really well played, or it's going to look like Peyton Manning on Saturday Night Live.
He's not. I mean, the kindergartner may run the wrong route. They may drop the ball, but Flynn's not going to miss a throw.
Oh, gosh, I can see Flynn getting out there. I said post. I said Matt's
like that Peyton Manning commercial.
Yes.
Sure, exactly. Okay. We are brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
We've been telling you about EnviroPath and the Active Pure technology, the most effective way to combat COVID in your home or business. It's not just masks that you need that will purify the air and purify the surfaces in your building. This is a safe, portable unit that will purify the air throughout your home or your business. It's affordable. And it doesn't come with all of the sprays and the smells and the things like that really aren't as effective as what the Active Pure technology gives you.
You heard Hanny mention it being portable. They do have different sizes. It's not just a one size. Of course, they can protect your home. They can protect your car. They also have a personal device, right? If you're traveling and you want to be protected, that is the route to go for you. So many different options, affordable. Hanny mentioned that. It is very affordable, especially when you think what it's doing for you. You can find out more information on their website, EnviroPath.world. You can always pick up the phone and give them a call at 225-610-0702.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
When it's clearance time, smart customers rush to Richards Honda because all your favorite Honda models are at fantastic prices. And with our fanatical customer care, it's no wonder people call Richards Honda the smart choice.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Do you know someone who sets a good example for all of us to follow? Someone who, without being asked, shows leadership, selflessness, and service to their community? We believe that's the definition of a good citizen, and so does Citizens Bank and Trust.
So, if you know someone that sounds like what Jordy was just describing, nominate them to be your good citizen, and they'll have a chance to win $500 from Citizens Bank and Trust. Plus, we'll mention him right here on the show. So go to citizensbankandtrust.com for more details and nominate your good citizen.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Your Honda needs some TLC, and Richards Honda is the smart place to get it. With oil changes at just $39. And with so many service bays, you'll be in and out super fast. Schedule your...
Yo, join us for a Thursday edition of Hanging with Hester and Hanny, presented by Richards Honda from noon to 3. Hunt Palmer comes in for his hour. We'll also be joined by Chris Lowe of ESPN to get a preview of SEC football on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Aaron Torres from Fox Sports at the bottom of the hour. We get a little bit of everything from Aaron because we get a little bit of the Pac-12 and what's going on there, but he also covers college basketball as well. So I thought that news was very welcome yesterday. That it lets me know we're moving forward. It lets me know that the numbers are good. Lets me know that we're making some progress, and pretty pleased about all of those things. So Coach O, last night, for the first time I think the public since maybe the Rotary, that he was able to get out and be in front of the public in person. Hell, even we haven't seen him in person. When's well, maybe you have, with your secret Dakota ring and everything that gets into the building. But the only time I've seen him like in person in the last probably 2 months is jogging on the levee.
Right. Yeah.
From time to time, I'll pass him on my way to work.
Right.
He'll be jogging. But this is the first time we had a chance to hear from him. So let's start off, Kate, if you give me a thank you. This was Coach O on camp.
We had a lot of great practices. We had a lot of great walkthrough, a lot of preparation by football coaches. We put in our installation 5 different times, our whole installation. So our guys know it. We got a great freshman group. Some of you guys are going to be excited about some of these freshmen that are already starting for us. But, they had to learn our way of practice. They had to learn our standard. We had great leadership. These guys have stepped up and taught our young guys how to do it. And I believe I have the best coaching staff in America.
Give me a standard install in camp. How long does it take? Just one install, how long does it take?
So a standard install, what you're going to do is, if you have the same system, which obviously LSU does right now, you're going to start it in the spring. You're going to basically put in 8 to 10 days of install. You typically put in, it could be 5 runs and 5 concepts, and every day you put something new in. Now, once you get to the fall, obviously it ramps up. They're going to put way more on your plate. How much did you retain from what we did in the spring and the summer? But without those situations, you kind of wonder, okay, what's it look like? And they've been on Zoom meetings, so they've been continuing to work even when they weren't here. But you probably put in all of the offense in the first 5 days, and then sounds like they restarted. All right, let's go back. All right, we put everything in 5 days. And you'll have wrinkles, obviously, Handy, depending on the team you're playing. If you're playing a team that's heavy cover 3 or heavy cover 2, or they play quarter halves or whatever it might be, right? So you can change it throughout the season, but your base stuff is going to go that first week, and then you're hitting reset, and then you're going back over. Okay, let's see what we know, and let's add something to it each and every day. Let's add a wrinkle off of that stuff. So it's good to hear that they've had that extra time, because that's what we were worried about. We knew you had the time. Okay, how are you using this time? And they did it to go back and install everything that they could add those small wrinkles. That's why when somebody messes up, you'll always hear a coach yell, "That's day one install stuff," right? Every coach in America, that's day one install, because you go over it so many times that you have to know it. So I'm glad they had that time. I'm glad they had that extra time to be able to continue to go over what they put in to make sure they run it extremely well. Because when you look at LSU's offense, it's not a ton of plays. It's not like you have this thick notebook. Now, Jimbo was a thick notebook. He had 97,000 different things. Well, college football's evolved. That's no longer the case. You have a group of things that you do, and you do them extremely well, and you branch off of those things, and you do different things depending on what the defense gives you. And so that's what LSU's offense is really. It's the keep it simple, stupid.
Well, we've seen enough of the little boards on the sideline. In one quarter there's a race car, and in another quarter there's like Homer Simpson, and then there's like a tree or something. All of that means something. I don't know what it means. Doesn't really matter. But it all means something. It matters to them, but it doesn't matter to the fans.
Yeah, a lot of it matters. Some of it is just for the other team to try to guess what it is. Right. But even in Denver with Peyton, I mean, Peyton had a complex offense. Of the verbiage and the code words he used would always change, but what he was doing was a lot of the same. He just changed up the way he said it because he was always so terrified that someone else would get it. We had a NASCAR series, which obviously was our fast-paced stuff. I think I've told you this before. I mean, it was 1 through 12, and it was just jersey numbers. That was a whole play, but it was just a jersey number. 1 was for Warren Moon, and all the way down the line. I'm trying to think. Steve Young, I know, was number 8. Steve McNair was number 9.
So what did that mean?
And so that
if he called Steve McNair, what
that
mean?
was a full play. You had to know formation, alignment, assignment, and all that. But you memorized that McNair was this play, and so because he wanted to be able to get up there and say McNair left, and that was all he said, right? So when you do something like that, Hanny, you've got to rep that a lot because you're going full formations, full plays, and depending on the coverage, your route's going to change. Even if you're a running back, it could change a little bit because you have an option route on some of these things. So if they're playing zone, well, you sit it down. If they're playing man, you have the ability to take it up the seam. And when you're running that type of offense, it's good to be able to go back and kind of refresh yourself on that each and every week, and that's what LSU's been able to do. Things like that you typically, Hanny, wouldn't have that time in the summertime. You'd have it in the spring, and you'd have it, in June, but in August you wouldn't have that.
You're expected to know all of this backwards and forwards after one install, right? I mean, you just told me if once you put this in,
in the fall, if your day 2 install, day 3 install, your basic, these are who we are plays, and you can't get them, a coach will literally, I've heard it 1,000 times, you can't help us. If you can't get this right now, and this is as easy as it's going to get, when we're in week 7 and we're playing against Todd Grantham and he's bringing people from every angle, we can't count on you. So, yeah, the day 1, day 2, day 3 stuff is very important to see what you can retain, because if you can't retain it right now, you're not ready to help us.
So according to him, everything that you usually install once and you're expected to know once, they've done 5 times.
Yeah.
It would get a little monotonous in your head, I would think.
For the vets. For your veteran players, I can't tell you how many times it happens in the NFL. I mean, you bring new people in, right? And some things change, and some guys just need a little bit more help. I can't tell you how many times you'd sit down and we'd be in the Chargers meeting room, and our running back coach, God, one of my favorite people in this world, would say, "All right, guys, turn to page 1," and me and Mike Tolbert would just sit there and be like, "Can we go? Can we go get in the hot tub?"
I'm thinking about a guy like Austin Deculus, who has somewhere in the area of 27 career starts or something like that. No, it's more than that. It's actually 28, 29,
right,
something like that, somewhere between 25 and 30 career starts. And I think that's the most of anybody on the team currently.
I would assume.
He's got to be bored out of his mind for a lot of this, right? But he's got to stay engaged. He's got to help his backups. He's got to work with the new guys alongside. He's going to have somebody new. It's not going to be Damian Lewis, who knew everything at that right guard right on the side of him. So he might be bored out of his mind, but he's got to stay engaged.
It's a great point, because he's got a guy next to him in Chasen Hines who has kind of played a lot of left guard, a little bit of center, not a lot of right guard. And so that's his mate. They've got to come up with And this happens on very elementary football teams. Your right guard, your right tackle, your left guard, your left tackle, they've got to come up with code words and how they want to block things. We do it on our 5th grade tackle team. You got to come up with code words, and they got to have that rapport. They got to build that. So even though Deculus knows it, it's actually a benefit for him. He doesn't necessarily have to go over every single part of what he has to do. He knows that. He's got to sit next to Chasen in those meetings and say, hey, if this happens, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what we got to do together. So that part's very important. Now, you've got a new center, right? So the center, I'm sure Shanahan is probably getting up in the front of the room and, hey, guys, here's how I call it. Here, so you know what my voice sounds like, so you know what I'm thinking. So there's still things that you can learn when you're in a group like that. Like when you're on the offensive line, it's a little bit different than when you're playing a position like running back.
The mental mistakes are not going to be tolerated this year because when the coach says we've done that 5 times, we've literally done that 5 times. This is not just hyperbole. Hey, you need to know that play.
Well, for the offensive guys, there's no question.
Well, really,
for the defensive guys, it's at least a new defense.
Okay,
and it's a new defense as far as terminology, as far as scheme and alignments, like all those things. Well, those things are new. So yeah, they probably. Typically a defense, if you're returning, everybody's going to be ahead of the offense, right? Well, in this situation, this offense and what they did, well, they've got the same people in place. And so I'm sure the defense, they've had to go over things a little bit more because you're going from 3-4 to 4-3. Bo's going to be a little bit more aggressive. He doesn't play necessarily the coverages that Dave Aranda plays. So all of those things will change for them.
We'll take a break. Aaron Torres from Fox Sports will be with us when we return. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
All right, brought to you by Richards Honda. Of course, you can find them online at richardshonda.com, where they have added something new. The Buy From Home button in the top left corner of the website. You can get the entire purchase done right there on richardshonda.com. So if you don't feel comfortable right now going out and going to the dealership, that is something that is available to you, and they can complete that process, like I said, all online. But look, the dealership is open. They are doing everything they possibly can to make it safe for you. They're getting this thing sanitized day and night, so it is safe for you to go see the over 700 new and pre-owned vehicles they have over at Richards Honda at 13413 Millaville Greens Boulevard in Baton Rouge. It's I-12 and Millaville. No matter what you're looking for, I tell you, every single day, car, hybrid, midsize, full-size SUV, Odyssey minivan, Ridgeline truck, they've got it for you. They've got it priced to move. You'll drive away extremely happy from Richards Honda. That's why we can always say home of the warm and fuzzy feeling.
Off the Bench, Hanging with Hester and Hanny, after further review and more, are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat driven by Bayou Ford.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's a Thursday edition of Game Time with Jimmy Ott and Ben Mintz. We're live from Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar for our Thursday night football watch party. Come watch Joe Burrow and the Bengals take on the Browns, or tune in here to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Thanks for being with us here, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Bringing out from Fox Sports, Aaron Torres, and a ton of topics to get to. Aaron, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are we doing today?
Doing outstanding. First of all, you did a podcast yesterday kind of in reaction to the Big Ten returning to play and potentially now the Pac-12 and the Mountain West, at least, looking into the idea of following suit. And your reaction to all of this was that, well, basically the SEC had it right all along. I wonder if you kind of go into a little bit more detail about what that podcast was about.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I think every conference, even within the Pac-12 and Big Ten, is a little bit different. But, as I look back on the last couple days, it's really stuff that I've been saying, and I don't know where you guys stand on this or where you stood on this when the decision was made. But, I remember even that Sunday night that it came out that there was the possibility that we could cancel Big Ten football. I said, my stance was never once we need to play. It was that it is entirely too early to make such a rash judgment decision, right? And there were a lot of different possibilities in terms of what you could do instead of cancel. You could keep kids out of pads for the time being. And if you guys remember, at the time, nobody had really been in pads and we didn't really know and all that stuff. So keep kids out of pads, limit practice, push back the season like the SEC did 2-3 weeks to see what happens when kids come back to campus. And so last night was really, well, frankly, I'll be honest, and Jacob knows me well, so he won't be surprised by this, but this was a coronation. It was a pat on the back for about, a half an hour there on my end, just telling you that everything that I told you was wrong about the decision was wrong. I mean, the Pac-12 is a little bit of a different deal. We can get into that in a minute. But really, it was just reaction, and it was the realization that, as myself and many in the media have been saying, many, of course, did not say this, but myself and others did, is that it was just way too quick of a decision with way too little information, and it didn't need to be made when it did. So that was kind of my initial reaction to everything that happened yesterday.
Aaron, does Larry Scott just look completely foolish in this whole deal? I mean, you've had governors from Oregon and California kind of come out and say, hey, the restrictions are lifted, that you never really asked us for our opinion on this or what the protocols were even put into place.
Jacob, yeah, you nailed it. And for people who did not follow this story yesterday, and I understand it's not on the field, it's a little political, whatever, people, let me even backtrack. I think a lot of people have asked, and justifiably, why are there no protests from parents or players or lawsuits in Pac-12 country? Oh, it's just because nobody in Pac-12 country cares. No, and, Jacob, you've been around this sport. You know that kids in high school and college work just as hard at USC and Cal and Arizona as they do at Tennessee and Georgia and Florida. Maybe they're not as talented, whatever. But so my defense has always been, it's really not in the Pac-12's control because the state restrictions are so insanely limited right now. And I've used this example 100 times, but the USC football team couldn't even get into their practice facility. And Graham Harrell, their offensive coordinator, actually tweeted this out the other night, is that, he's seen his guys lift weights under tents and in parking lots. And I'm not exaggerating. They could not get in their facility to work out. And so it was kind of this moment of clarity yesterday where Larry Scott comes out and says, now the Big Ten's back, we're going to work with some officials, local government officials, to see if we can get these restrictions loosened a little bit so we can play. And the government officials basically said, dude, you guys misunderstood. You guys could have been practicing all along. And so the crazy thing was that, have to do certain things have to be altered. Were they altered yesterday? Absolutely. But the crazy thing was, Jacob, is that it appears, for all intents and purposes, that it wasn't that the restrictions were so crazy. It was that no one in the Pac-12, until the Big Ten officially announced they were coming back and the Pac-12 was on an island, nobody even had the thought to reach out to the government officials to see if they could work together. So it was a surreal day, and it's crazy because, sometimes some of these narratives are overblown about who's good at their job, who's not. But, it was really a crowning day for Larry Scott, and it was just a surreal moment in time and kind of shows you why this conference has fallen behind the other four, and it's in large part because of the leadership or lack thereof.
I had a Katrina flashback there for a second when you said lifting weights under tents. I remember when the Saints hauled those tents and all their equipment to San Antonio and put tents up in the parking lot, and that's how they had to get through in 2005. Aaron Torres is our guest. Aaron, other big news yesterday included that from the NCAA on college basketball, and I know you're a huge college basketball guy. So the news that they're going to be able to practice, that they're going to be able to start the season in November with just a little bit of a scale back from the season, especially for a sport that's in the winter, indoors, not a lot of protective equipment, I thought was very encouraging yesterday.
No, there's no doubt. And I think it was really interesting to kind of watch. And I'll be honest, guys, listen, we know, and I get it, and I love college hoops. I understand that college hoops does not carry the same weight at all that college football does. But if the NCAA was going to give clearance for the Big Ten to play basketball in November, it was one of the reasons. I won't say it was a big one, maybe not even the top 3, 4, 5 as to why Big Ten football came back. It was just another reason that showed how dumb the Big Ten football decision was when we're basically getting clear off for basketball and winter sports, let alone the football being played. But no, I thought it was a great moment in time. I thought it was a great day for college sports in general. And what you need to know is we're getting college hoops. And what I would say and what I have said to anybody who will listen, I give so much credit to the people behind the scenes in college basketball because I do think they largely looked at college football, the mess that, many created in the sport, and really the lack of urgency within the sport in July, June, and May, and kind of just assuming that everything would be back to normal in September. And college basketball said, we can't wait. We can't hope that everything's better. We can't assume things are going to be better. We need actual plans of action. And so there's been all sorts of talk about, out-of-conference bubbles. I know John Rothstein reported there's going to be one in Orlando. I kind of tweeted out the other day, I'm hearing there could be a big one in Washington, D.C., which could feature dozens of teams. There's other reports in other places. But the point being, college basketball kind of saw what happened in college football. They said, this will not happen to us. And you can even go conference by conference. I know the Big Ten basketball coaches were having calls, almost daily to present a united front to say, hey, we can do this safely. Let us play. And it came out yesterday that it's going to be November 25th. It's going to be a great day for college basketball. And we're going to have a nice little busy November and December on our hands with college basketball starting and college football going later into the calendar with the SEC and Big 12 championship or Big 10 championship games pushed all the way back to December 19th.
Aaron, do you believe that everything's going to kind of look different like it does in football, right? The SEC's only playing conference games. They're playing 10. The Big 12 was playing a +1. The ACC a +1. The Big 10's going to look a little different, obviously. So when we get to college hoops, do you think it's going to be different looking in every conference?
Yeah, I do, Jacob. It's a great question. And it's funny, I was texting with another, a guy I respect in college basketball this morning in the media, and he kind of believes that the power conference team, seeing what's going on in football, North Carolina just canceled the game against Charlotte today. Obviously, you guys know Louisiana Tech having to cancel against Baylor last week. I think that the power conferences are a little hesitant about out-of-conference play. I don't know this for sure, but if I had to take a guess, I would assume that any out-of-conference games, almost all of them, maybe not all, but virtually all of them will take place in some sort of bubble setting where, 10 teams come and you play 3 games over a week, but everybody gets tested coming in, and once you get tested, you can't, once you test negative, you can't leave the bubble. That would be my guess. And then I think once we get to conference play, I think it's going to be a lot like what we're seeing in football right now. I think it's obviously everyone will be on the same testing protocols. Unfortunately, as we know in basketball, there's just way more travel, way more hotels, way more bus rides and planes. And I do think, unless we kind of change the discourse and the conversation on this virus, we have to be ready to live in a world where kind of games are canceled on short notice in basketball as well. But I think it's a great point by you, Jake. I do think that it is going to look completely different conference to conference, week to week, day to day. Like I said, my hunch is most of the out-of-conference will be played in a bubble, and then obviously in conference it'll be a little bit different.
Aaron Torres from Fox Sports, thanks so much for your time. Stay safe. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, fellas. Have a great day.
Appreciate it, Aaron.
And we'll take a break. A former LSU Tiger announced his retirement this morning. One of the more interesting career paths that we've ever seen. We'll tell you who that is when we come back. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
Tiger Air, an independent dealer of the American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning units. I know, because they installed one at my house. And what I found was I was going to save money with that unit. The efficiency of the unit meant my energy bills were going to go down. I saw a difference almost immediately. Plus, the programmable thermostat makes it easy to control the climate in my home when I'm there and when I'm not there from my smartphone. That way, there's no wasted energy, and that's going to lead to lower bills.
Which is always a good thing, Hanny, when you can get those bills lowered. Also, love to tell you about the Comforts Assurance Protection Plan. Speaking of saving money, you're going to get discounts on parts and labor for repairs. Also, you're going to get that seasonal maintenance, which is so important to make sure that you are getting your air conditioning service twice a year. Lower utilities, like Hanny mentioned, emergency service, priority service as well. You can always get a free quote as well online, tiger-air.com, or pick up the phone and give them a call at 225-754-8687.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information.
Coming up on Fridays Off the Bench, we kick off Football Friday. Hunt Palmer, Cole Kublik, and the trio of degenerate gamblers all stop by. We'll preview the college and NFL weekends and a brand new OTB Casual Friday tier list. 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
So if you're watching along with us on CST and they give you one of those panoramic shots and you see all of the TVs in here and what it's on, if you see Days of Our Lives, that's just because we're waiting for the golf to start. It's on NBC.
Don't mess with Hanny and his stories now.
We're waiting for the golf. Your grandmother called them the stories too?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, those are the stories. They were never
The stories came after The Price is Right.
We could never, in the summertime, we could never go swimming until after her stories were over. You know, just had to wait for that stuff. Justin Thomas on the lead in the clubhouse, 5 under 65. Patrick Reed, one shot back at 4 under 66. Tiger Woods shot 3 over 73 today. Phil Mickelson just onto the golf course about 10 minutes ago. And we'll keep you up to date. Rory McIlroy also on the leaderboard, 3 under 67, just a couple of shots off the lead. Russell Shepard announced his retirement from the NFL today. He turns 30 today, so happy birthday if he happens to be listening. Russell Shepard was one of the most highly recruited players of the Les Miles era. Number 1 on some boards in certain places. If you watched his high school film, you saw one of the most electrifying high school players that I've ever seen. He was recruited as a quarterback or not, depending on who you believe, and got to LSU and played for 4 years. And he was okay. He made some plays. For the record, he caught 58 balls in 4 years and scored 6 touchdowns, 565 yards. He ran 104 times for 716 yards and 5 touchdowns. Respectable statistics. There's nothing wrong with that. But it was not what people expected. He never threw a pass.
He never threw a pass.
He never threw a
Came in
pass.
as a quarterback. Handy, you mentioned like how highly rated he was. He was the second highest rated all-time commit to LSU, only behind Leonard Fournette and right above Derek Stingley Jr. So you're talking about one of the all-time signees for LSU.
So when Shepard finished up and the last game didn't even get into, I think it was, or the national championship game never got into. His career was described here as a disappointment and potential unfilled, and a lot of people blamed Les. And maybe they're right. Certainly if Shepard had been in this offense that you looked at last year, they would have found something to do with him.
Yes.
Okay, so that was the frustrating part, that Shepard was on a team that never utilized the things that he could do. And it would have been reasonable to expect, certainly I did, that Shepard would go into a camp somewhere, maybe spend a year on a practice squad, and that would be it. Russell Shepard managed to turn that limited production at LSU into 7 years in the National Football League with Tampa, with Carolina, and with the New York Giants. Again, the statistics were not overwhelming. He caught 60 balls for 847 yards and 6 touchdowns over those 7 seasons, which would be, one regular season for a full-time starter. So he was never that in the league. He only started a handful of games. But he kept himself on rosters because he was an ace on special teams, and when you needed him, he could go catch a ball. Russell Shepard made $9.3 million playing football. That was the point. I said, this guy stuck around the league for 7 years. At one point, he signed a big contract, and it was I'm just thinking about the ride for Russell Shepard from the most highly rated player almost in the country that year, certainly in the state of Texas, to a program that was riding high. When he got to LSU, they were 1 year removed from a national championship, to the disappointment, I guess, for not being utilized more, to working his way into the league, to persevering, to keeping. I love stories like this, okay?
Me too.
Because this guy got knocked down, okay? He was on a pedestal when he got here. He got knocked down. It would have been easy for him to say, tell stories till he's, 90 years old that, man, I would have been a star if they would have just used me right. And there would have been a lot of truth to that, okay?
I agree with that.
He could have been a bitter man for a long time. Screw that. I'm going to play football. I can play, and I'm going to prove that I can play. And maybe I won't be the number one player like I was in high school, but I can stick in the National Football League. And he did it for 7 years, and he made life-changing money.
Yep.
And he retires at the age of 30 with his whole life in front of him to do whatever other things he wants to accomplish in his life.
I think 2 companies that I know of that are successful already. He's extremely sharp, and he was not utilized in the right way when he was at LSU. I mean, we can all agree to that.
You got to know him after because you were gone by the time
I was
he got
already
here.
gone, but I got a chance to know him after the fact, and when both after my NFL career and kind of the start of his, and just talking to people who play with him in the NFL, he was the same guy, always showed up to work, did the right things, and I'm so happy for guys like that don't give up. They don't blame somebody else. He could have very easily blamed a lot of people, because he is very talented and was not utilized in the way that he should have been utilized at LSU, but he found a way. So you miss out on some money at the beginning, right? Well, you can blame everybody else. Well, he made his money on the back end because of the hard work that he did on special teams. Look, the number 3 player in the country doesn't expect to be a special teams guy whenever you sign with LSU, but he didn't care. He found a way to stay in the NFL for 7 years. You know how hard it is, Hanny? I know you do. To stay in the NFL for 7
No, you do.
I know, but you do too. I mean, you've covered this long enough. You know, if a guy sticks for 7 years, and you'll see some quarterbacks, if they're drafted high, that shouldn't be in the league for 7 years, but because of who they are, they'll get opportunities. If you're a position player like this, you did it because you earned it. So I'm extremely happy for him. I thought he had a really nice career and could have, like I said, blamed a lot of people, which this day and age, that happens all the time. And I would have loved to seen a guy like this in 2019 LSU's offense, because Coach O is really, really good at continuing to try you at different positions until one sticks, because he believes in your talent. Jacoby Stevens always comes to mind.
Sure.
They tried Jacoby Stevens everywhere. He was at one time, he was the jet sweep guy, right? He was playing kind of an H-back / receiver role, and then now he's an All-American safety, right? He's been an edge rusher. He's played some linebacker. He's played deep safety. They have found a spot for him because they knew, hey, this guy coming in, he's one of the top players in the country. He's the number 1 player in the state of Tennessee. You know what? It might not have fit at the beginning, but I'd be damned if we're not going to find somewhere on this field for him to be.
I was even a little bit critical at the time when they were doing that. It's like, wait, hang on. This is a 5-star kid. Leave him alone. Y'all keep moving him around, and he's going to transfer. And that's the other thing I wanted to bring up. If Russell Shepard, if the 2020 version of Russell Shepard has the first year or 2 of the career he had at LSU, he's transferring.
Yep.
I mean, in 2020, that's what's going to happen. And you can make the case that Russell Shepard should have transferred. A lot of people would have said, man, listen, you go back to some of the offenses in 2011 or 2010 where he could have gone and been a star. I mean, put him in a wide open offense in 2010.
Yeah.
The spread concepts that it took so much longer to come about here. Where would he have been? Put him at Oklahoma, okay? Just to pick one. Where would his college career have gone? Certainly individually he would have been better. Team wise, that 11 team was great. Bad ending, but that was great. But individually it might have benefited him. He didn't do that.
How does he not throw a pass at LSU?
I thought for sure that last year they were going to put one in. Les was never one. It actually benefited him sometimes that he wasn't listening to the outside forces, because when he got fired and he heard all the criticism, he's like, wait a minute, where's all this coming from? It's like, dude, this has been here for a long time. You're insulated. I thought that they would give him one play. A halfback option, a double pass, something and I thought it would have been a good idea just to let people know you got that club in your bag. And he never did, because Les wasn't listening. And I'm sure that the offensive staff at some point, that Gary Croton or Steve Ensminger or Frank Wilson at some point said, Les, just for the hell of it, let's burn a play.
Yeah. Just
to let people know we can do that. Even if it's incomplete, tell him to throw the ball out of bounds, for crying out loud. Not one time.
There used to be some long conversations when Jimbo and Les would get together about trick plays, stuff that you wanted to do that was out of the ordinary. But I tell you what, Jimbo won a lot of those conversations. We ran a play in the high school state championship game in 2002, and we ran it at LSU. I know we're up against our break here, but I've got to tell that story before we get out of here today.
I will. I'll let you.
Yeah.
We'll do that at some point when we come back. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Do you know someone who sets a good example for all of us to follow? Someone who shows leadership, selflessness, and service to their community without being asked? We think that's the definition of a good citizen, and so does Citizens Bank and Trust. If you know someone who exhibits all of these qualifications, nominate them for a Good Citizen Award, and they could receive $500 from Citizens Bank. And we'll recognize them here on the show. Get the details at citizensbankandtrust.com, and then nominate your good citizen.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Callahan Injury Lawyers. Now, Hangin with Hester and Hanny with Jacob Hester and Charles Hanagriff. Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger. Alongside Jacob Hester, here's Charles Hanagriff.
Hour number 2, hanging with Hester and Hanny and Hunt, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. 11:30 The Tiger, which is on CST and on YouTube. 104.5 is the page. ESPN is the page, or the Hanging with Hester and Hanny page. I don't think it's any coincidence that Hunt shows up right when the golf comes on television. So try to stay focused there, Hunt.
I'll do my best. Hester knows I can multitask pretty good, but this is a good-looking golf course.
They are at Winged Foot. For the U.S. Open. All right, I gotta tell you, Hester surprised me during the break, and I'm touched. I'm really. This is very, very nice. If you're on the radio, you're just gonna have to listen to me describe it. But if you're watching along with us on YouTube or CST, you're gonna see Playboy Marty's gonna get in on it. Someone has gifted me an Island Hanny bobblehead.
Craig Schilling,
Craig Schilling has gifted us a bobblehead of me with a cowboy hat and a beard and a Hawaiian shirt. This was deep in the heart of the shutdown, where we did what I think will probably grow in the retelling of it. But unfortunately we've got the tape several places. Draft shows that they allowed us to do from home, unsupervised,
yes,
and unregulated by the FCC. And so late in the evening, Jimmy and I got into a discussion about Josh Rosen, which, man without a country on Rosen, because I thought, what the hell, bring him in. He doesn't cost anything.
He's free.
Thank you.
And not only is this bobblehead just fantastic as what it is already, it actually has a voice recorder on it. So we can put it's free in this voice box. We can press the button, and anytime we need to hear Haney say exactly how much Josh Rosen cost, we have it at our disposal.
Okay, so I'm touched because I know what it takes to put one of these things together. If you've ever in marketing for part of my career here. Okay, so when you do a bobblehead promotion, which we've done a number of them, you know that the more it's like anything else in promotions, the more you buy, the cheaper per unit. If you want one of anything, you're buying a prototype. It's a lot more expensive. So he didn't run down and shell out $12. Craig, I think I know about what you got in this project, and I appreciate it.
Were you in some sort of cowboy hat for this video?
I was in a cowboy hat.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
He had a
I knew
beard.
you had a
He had a beard
I knew you had a beard too.
The whole thing was on Zoom. Okay, I remember. This was a month, better than a month and a half deep into the shutdown. I mean, everybody was part of the shutdown. Everybody was going crazy. Nobody could get into any building. So they just said, the hell with it, do it from your house. Okay, well, and so it was on, was streaming, so we weren't, no FCC stuff, and you completely unvarnished. It's like whiskey and wine. Okay, so there was some language. Okay, a little bit of language.
Look, I was a couple scotches deep, and Kate texted me and said, "Hey, can you jump on?" I said, "Well, I'm a couple scotches deep." He goes, "We don't care."
And there was some Elijah Craig. Yeah,
that was brutal.
And the beard my beard wasn't much better, and so. It's 10 o'clock. Okay, we're coming down towards the end of the show. We're talking about Josh Rosen of all things, and I've had a couple of Elijah Craigs, and I'd had enough of Jimmy's. What? So
So William brings up a great point inside the Bayou Ford chat here on YouTube There's 3 different tiers of Hanny. Now, I love all 3 tiers of Hanny, but it's baby Hanny, island Hanny, and regular Hanny.
Don't be ridiculous. Everybody loves me right now. Come on. I know that I got a little bit rambunctious that night. I get it. But the bobblehead is great. Okay.
Fantastic. I can't wait to actually hear it, though.
Put the audio in.
Yeah.
The reason I know what it costs to do one of these things is we, in our previous life, had a really good Christmas party here every year. I don't know if we'll ever be able to do that again, or at least this year. And we got, as our Dirty Santa gift, we got a bobblehead of Gordy, which somewhere disappeared. But one of the promotion directors at this point had a bobblehead made of Gordy in boxer shorts with hearts on them, and that was the gag gift. And we all had to kick in for it because it wasn't cheap, but we thought it was worth the payoff. So we could find that. So somewhere in this building, that bobblehead of Gordy in heart.
I don't want to really think about it anymore.
Right. It was a bobblehead. Believe me, we didn't.
Who took the picture to get the artist the picture?
No, you didn't. You didn't do the body on the picture. You just gave the headshot.
How did Gordy's head fit on a bobblehead?
Well, it was
I'd ask the same thing about
springs.
I'd ask the same thing about myself. Don't get me wrong. Was it a trampoline spring they had to put in this thing?
It was a little bit. It was a little bit out there. But no, this is great. Hunt, how are you?
I'm good. My Cubbies are 5.5 games up. U.S. Open golf's on. We're doing all right.
Joe Burrow plays tonight.
That's true. I may watch a little of that.
Wait, there's no Cubs game tonight? You can watch
football?
football?
No, Cubs are off tonight.
Okay. Well, didn't the schedule just
opens up for me?
Work out.
Now I may be watching live
you.
from the U.S. Open. We'll see.
Well, U.S. Open is, again, it's in New York, so it'll be done in plenty of time for that. All right, so yesterday was a big day with all of the college football news. What do you think? Where do you stand on Big Ten reassignment?
Well, they jumped the gun. Everyone knows it. They know it. Now everyone's on the same page there. There was no reason for them to pull the plug when they did, and I think they thought they swung a little bit bigger stick than they actually do. They thought, well, we'll cancel it, and then everybody will follow suit. And everybody down here kind of went, I don't think so. And quite honestly, and I've texted back and forth with Matt a little bit about this, and everybody heard his rant yesterday, and I'm on the same page. I've just had it with these holier-than-thou columns and national reporters who are refused to kind of get with it. And for the USA Today girl to come out and write a column calling it the darkest day in the history of the Big Ten is just ridiculous. To have Michigan State, what happened up there, Penn State, what happened over there, Maryland had a player die in preseason workouts. And for her to come on and write a column saying it's the darkest day in the history of the league is just ridiculous. So I'm thrilled that the Big Ten is playing, personally, because I think it legitimizes the college football playoff. And I've talked many times about what I care about when they lace them up to start is LSU winning a national championship. That's why I follow the sport. And for Big Ten to jump in, and namely Ohio State to jump in, it lessens whatever asterisk people may want to throw on it. And then from an ancillary perspective on the side, I'm just sick of these national media members that are just continue to be so holier-than-thou.
Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, was on the Chuck Oliver show yesterday. This was his reaction to the Big Ten return.
Well, I've been busy working on SEC issues over the last months, weeks, days, and hours this morning. So I have seen they've made an announcement of a plan to actually play football this fall, which is different from that August 11th moment. I look forward to understanding a bit more, but good for the student athletes in the Big Ten. I've seen parental activity seeking the opportunity, so I wish them well in their endeavor.
And Sankey talked about how the decision that he made, who he was listening to.
Trying to separate myself from social media, what's reported by this individual or that individual, not reading the scroll on every news network or sports network and believing that that's fact, and working with really dedicated medical professionals. I can't say enough about our return to activity and medical guidance task force. The number of hours these doctors have given on a volunteer basis at all hours of the day on short notice to help us digest, understand, and then guide us forward has been just a tremendous credit to who they are as people and who they are as professionals. And those are the types of activities that give me the confidence that we can continue forward.
We had Dr. Stephen Etheridge on yesterday. We have him pretty much every week. And he, first of all, is about as nice a man as you'll ever meet. And he said one thing. He says, we kind of took it a little bit personally when some of the medical opinions that came out of this decision were in contradicting ours, that we hadn't put the time in, that we had not put the protocols in, that this was some kind of fly-by-night operation.
Like we're dumb rednecks. You can put it that way too.
Well, and he's too nice to say it that way, but
I'll say it for him.
You know what? They are the ones as a group, from Dr. Cameron Wolf in the ACC, Catherine O'Neill in the SEC, and all the other doctors at all the other schools that were on. Dr. Etheridge just told us, listen, it was nonstop Zoom call, protocol, write this procedure down, implement this procedure, check it and recheck it, and then go back and do it all over again. We didn't just put this together at the last minute. And when the Pac-12 decided to cancel, they were calling us that day going, hey, wait, how'd you guys do this? Well, we've been working our tails off trying to make this work. We didn't just throw up our hands. And it's pretty offensive to a medical professional, I would think, never having been one, but I would think, to have another medical professional say, you know what, you're dangerous. You're a quack.
Yeah.
Essentially. No, went to medical school just like you did. And we're working the problem. We're not giving up. Sankey followed his medical people. They're pretty good medical people. They're pretty good medical people in the ACC. Duke's a pretty good school.
And you know how they view things. Our schools are better than yours. We're smarter than you are. We're always going to be the smartest guy in the room. We're going to be the first person to do something. No, now you look foolish because you tried to be the smartest guy in the room. You tried to be first to break the news when our commissioner and our conference, they showed patience. They allowed themselves to have some extra time. They've been working their asses off for months upon months. And yeah, you're exactly right, Hanny. They went to medical school as well. They know what they're talking about. They're not putting players in harm's way. You heard Dr. Etheridge sit right here next to me and say, if I would not allow my son to do it, then I wouldn't allow the LSU players to do it. I would allow my son to go through these same protocols and go out there and play football. So it's just going to be, oh, look at the dumb rednecks down there, down in the South. And it's just a shame. And I told you yesterday how that makes me feel. It's one of my biggest pet peeves of, oh, you're from the South, and then you just get stereotyped in a certain situation.
Football over everything.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case.
And sir, but I think that Greg Sankey gets raked over the coals in this town and probably a lot of towns all over the
I'm
SEC.
responsible for some of that because there's some things I don't think he did well. I think he nailed this.
He did. They did a good job because they just waited. And they said, we're going to collect as much information as we can. We don't have to do anything in August. We think it's safe for the players to work out and be in the facilities and go through the protocols that the medical professionals have put in place. Do that, and then we'll make a decision when we have to. And there's a certain time where you have to. And the SEC it made a decision, and they figured it out.
And they're going to be bumps in the road. I listened last night after the show. Missouri's going to be down, I think it's 12 guys for their opener against Alabama. Okay, they're not 12 guys from the same position, obviously, but and sometimes when they are from the same position, you're going to have a cancellation like Charlotte and North Carolina this weekend. And I would be shocked if any of the major 5 conferences, once we get into conference play next week, oh, I said major 5 conferences, the 3 that are starting already conference play, and 2 of them already have, that they're going to be able to do 100%. I don't think the SEC is going to have all 14 teams play all 10 games.
And you know what? That's okay because Major League Baseball is the same way. And 10 games is different than 60, and I get that. But Major League Baseball said we're going to play as many as we can safely, and at the end we're just going to look at winning percentage, and we're going to push forward the way we know how. And if that's what you've got to do, that's what you got to do.
And that's what they're going to do. And let me say this before the scenario even presents itself. This may not work out to LSU's benefit. There may be a school that has played less games that has a winning percentage that will have missed a key game. It may screw LSU, okay? It may screw LSU that an 8-0 team from somewhere else gets in over a 9-1 LSU team, okay? Mm-hmm. And I'll still say, you know what? We all agreed to this going in, okay? It's going to suck, but this was the price. Remember when we said we'll do anything for football, any protocol, any procedure we've got to follow, any kind of format, conference games, non-conference, we'll take it. Okay, I want to say that if it may benefit LSU. LSU may have 2 games canceled. They may get in at 8-0 over a 9-1 team. But go on record now. If LSU gets screwed on this deal later on because some team had to cancel 2 games, I'm going to say, you know what? It's unfortunate. It stinks, but that we agreed to this ahead of time.
And that's the way I've always kind of approached all of my teams. And I'll give an example here. When they put the wild card game in baseball, I said, you know what? There's going to come a time where the Cubs are going to get screwed and have to play in this thing, and they're going to lose, and a whole season's going to go away in 3 hours. And lo and behold, 2 years ago, the Cubs had the most wins in the National League. They lost this 163 to the Brewers, played the Rockies the next day, and lost, and you go home. You won 93 games, you go home. And they've set the rules. You got to play by them. You don't complain about it. You just go play.
Knew them ahead of time. We'll take a break. We got some more from Coach O when we come back. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Do you know someone who sets a good example for all of us to follow? Someone who, without being asked, shows leadership, selflessness, and service to their community? We believe that's the definition of a good citizen, and so does Citizens Bank and Trust.
So, if you know someone that sounds like what Jordy was just describing, nominate them to be your good citizen, and they'll have a chance to win $500 from Citizens Bank and Trust. Plus, we'll mention him right here on the show. So go to citizensbankandtrust.com for more details and nominate your good citizen.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This is a house call. This is a test result. This is a prescription refill. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare. Start your virtual visit today at Auctioner Health.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Here at the Big Squeezy, we continue to serve the Baton Rouge and Southeast Louisiana areas during these troubling times. We are dedicated to providing you healthy food items to help you live your best life. From our cold-pressed juices to our delicious smoothies, let the Big Squeezy keep you going. Stay active, stay happy, and let us help you stay healthy. Visit us at our locations and also inside of Alexander's and Mathern's grocery stores or online at thebigsqueezy.com.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
It's a Thursday edition of Game Time with Jimmy Ott and Ben Mintz. We're live from Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar for our Thursday night football watch party. Come watch Joe Burrow and the Bengals take on the Browns, or tune in here to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you by Richard Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. I had a question earlier in the Bayou Ford chat about Joe Evans. And before we get to Jacob, what you think about that, this was Coach O last night on Joseph Evans, who's now back over on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, we're fortunate that we have depth. We lost several players at that position. We're happy that Neil Farrell came back. Get in shape. We welcome him back to the team. Really happy with Glenn Logan and Apu Ika. Apu's a slim 340. He came to us at 390. So he's doing well. But the guy I want everybody to listen to is Joe Evans. Joe played sparingly last year. We moved him over to offense. When we lost Tyler, when we lost Neil, we lost some depth inside. We moved Joe Evans over, and he's been phenomenal. I think the guy is going to be a wrecking ball. He's a great young man. I look forward to him having a great season this year.
This is something that's different about college football now than I think it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, if you made multiple position changes, it usually meant you were on your way out the door, that they couldn't find anywhere for you to play. Now, it seems like a lot of these moves are working out for the player, even if they are moving them from one side of the ball to the other.
So this was a guy that last offseason we talked a lot about because Coach O talked a lot about him. And we always know when a coach talks about you, every time he gets in front of a microphone, okay, you've caught his attention. And he didn't, get as much playing. He was a true freshman. Didn't get the playing time because he was behind some really good players. And I thought coming into the season he would be really good on the defensive front. Well, because you had questions at the center position that actually made a move. They didn't know Liam Shanahan was going to be a center. Remember, when he came in, he was not going to play center. He was going to play guard or tackle. They make a move. They feel like, okay, this is the guy. So when he moved to center, you felt like, okay, well, we can move Evans back to the defensive front. And so I was surprised he didn't play more last year because of how much Coach O talked about him. They love him inside that building, and it seems like he has stepped up. Now, which position will he be playing? That's going to be key because, again, everybody knows a 4-3 defense is going to look a little bit different than a 3-4 up front. So Glenn Logan was my guy that I said a couple of weeks ago could be one of the biggest keys to this defense. And so how much do you play Apu Ika? How much do you play Glenn Logan? Where does he fit in? That's going to be one of my questions because you feel like Apu and Glenn are going to be the starters there.
To go back to your point about changing sides of the ball, kind of being a way out, it's worked a lot for LSU. Hester, how many guys on your offensive line had switched from defense?
Starting right guard, Lyle Hitt, Carnell Stewart, the starting right tackle, were both defensive guys when they first got here.
And Chasen Hines has been a good guard for LSU, and he swapped real early, but had made the switch and had played both sides. It's
Joseph Barksdale.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a death sentence, and I think that hopefully you can find some good snaps for him.
It depends on when they move. Guys that get to campus that were recruited as one thing and end up as another thing, which I think Hitt spent very, very little time on defense, if I remember right, Jacob. But Stewart was a guy who was on the defensive side for multiple years before he moved over to the other side of the ball. So sometimes it matters when you move. The earlier, the better, obviously.
Yeah, Will Blackwell, another guy that started on the defensive front. So he was a young player when I was here. He was a defensive guy, ended up being an All-American offensive lineman. So LSU's got a really good track history of doing it. You're right, though. You'd rather get those guys sooner. You'd rather get those guys in. I remember when I was going to make the switch to defense early in my career, it was kind of the first couple of weeks that I was here. And so you try to do that to implement it as fast as you can. It was impressive what Carnell could do because he was a very good defensive lineman in high school, highly touted. He came here, and he was talented, but there was just a couple of things that they were missing, right? And so you move him over to offense, and he picked it up enough to be a starter on the Natty.
How long did Matt Malk play safety here? I think it was one spring, half a spring.
I don't even remember that.
I don't even remember that.
Well, you know what he was before he was a safety?
Catcher.
He was a catcher, right?
Know what he is now? A dentist.
He's a dentist. Talking about the secondary last night. Let's start with the corners.
I mean, it's one of the best defensive backfields that we've had, and that's saying a lot. It starts with Derek Stingley. The guy's phenomenal. Him and Jamar Chase, when Jamar was practicing, they were going at each other every day, like looking at two NFL All-Pro players going out there. Derek is a tremendous competitor, but the guy I'm really excited about is Cordell Flott. Man, he's come in and had a tremendous camp. He's tall, long, and lean. We can play him at nickel. We can play him at corner. And also Elias Ricks. Elias is 6'3". Then we got Darren Evans, a veteran from Nicholls State. We are loaded at that position. And then Dwight McGaughan is about 6'2", 6'3", a tall corner. Is very good as a freshman. So Corey's done a tremendous job with that group.
So we hold out hope for, you know who, you know where. But guys they got at that position. And, when Kerry Vincent left, there was a little bit of nervousness. Do we have enough cover people? But I think the progress of the freshmen and then the transfer of Evans, they feel pretty good about it.
There's a lot of curiosity for me where everybody kind of ends up. Yeah. Not just Cordell Flott and where he ends up, but just the safety rotation, how that's going to play out. What's Jacoby Stevens going to be on this defense? Because you're going to get creative with him. Bo Pelini, every time I've seen him, talk to him off the record, Jacoby Stevens, when his name's brought up, he gets a smile. He gets like a little grin because I know he's going to have a plan for him. But I just want to see where everybody in their final resting spot on that defense, on that depth chart, where they end up.
You start hearing O run through those corners, and it's very obvious. The friends you have in college he's got a type of girl. He's always like that. He's got a type. Corey Raymond's got a type of corner. He's not going to recruit any 5'9" corners. I mean, every guy you run across, he goes and he wants guys that are 5'11", 6 feet, 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", and they're not always the most highly recruited guy. Of course, he's going to go after Christian Fulton, who's a 5-star down the street. Of course, Derek Stingley's in his backyard. That's the guy he's going to go get. But he'll go get Dwight McGaughan. He'll go get Cordell Flott, who's not a guy that everybody was all over. And he creates really good corners with those body types.
That's because the guys they have to cover anywhere from 6'1" to 6'6" in some cases. And so you better not go get a guy that's, if he's 5'8", he better be the best 5'8" guy you've ever seen in your life.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
But sure.
I'm just kidding.
So he got into it. Well, I was going to give you the rest of what he said about the second.
Yeah, but real quick, I do want to mention, like when Coach O continues to talk about a player, and I know the Bayou 4 chat's kind of talking about it as well, like he means it. And y'all know I love Les, and my thoughts there. But sometimes Les would just throw a name out there, and then you never see that person again. There's a lot of truth to that. When Coach O talks about a guy, he's going to play. Like, look for him to be in the starting lineup or being a very big piece of what's going on.
He's honest to the point where he almost gets in trouble for telling the truth sometimes, which is not something that happens to a lot of coaches. Scott Woodward had an interesting quote.
Too transparent.
Too transparent. Hey, listen, okay. If the worst thing you can say about Ed is that he's too truthful, okay, there are worse things, right? This was him on the safeties in the nickel.
And you look at the safeties, the guy that I'm excited about is Mo Hampton. Mo came as a football player, a baseball player. Now he's lost weight. He's got in shape. Along with Jacoby Stevens and Todd Harris, I think we have an excellent group.
When he talks about getting in shape, he's got a whole level of shape that's different from what I can say. For instance, his freshman year, he said, Jamar Chase really wasn't in shape. Looked in shape to me, but he didn't think he was. When I saw Mo Hampton last year, if you'd said, well, what are your impressions of him? Not in shape would not have crossed my mind at all. So he's got a whole different criteria there for what he wants in shape.
Be our starting nickel. Jay Ward can be our Cordell Flott can be our starting nickel. Jay Ward can be our starting nickel right away. Hey, even Jabril Cox is 6'3", 225. He can go out and play nickel. He's so athletic. So we feel good about that. Again, all the spread offenses, you're going to be a nickel most of the time.
See, that was my favorite, quote of the whole segment because now I can get my shirts printed,
You can. Absolutely. Okay, and
let's take it easy on Jabril Cox playing
and
a
herd hunt. Okay, so listen, and here's where that thought comes from. I guarantee you there was a couple of players in mind when he said that. Kyle Pitts being in Florida is one of them. If Kyle Pitts is out there, the very rangy tight end who LSU fans saw what he could be a year ago, right? that's what you're saying Jabril Cox can cover. He can go out there, he can be more physical, and you have options. Jacoby Stevens could go out there and cover me if you want to. As far as a physical standpoint, you want to have a bigger body because Pitts is going to use his body to get open. He's talking about those situations. He's not talking about him going out there against Alabama as Smith is in the slot, obviously. But there are certain situations where Jabril Cox could be lined up.
And if you look at Jabril Cox's highlight tape from North Dakota State, he's got a couple pick sixes, one of which he breaks on an out route and looks really good doing it.
Yeah.
So he's a really athletic dude. I just, like you said, I want to be easy on him out there with Devontae Lee out there in the slot.
Probably not that.
Devontae Smith. Devontae Lee plays for us.
Yeah.
And we'll take a break. When we come back, I'll give you a golf update. We got some more from Coach O. This is Hangin with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny.
Doing some home improvements, doing some property improvements. If you're digging, you're calling 811. Do it before you dig. Do it 2 days before you dig, and avoid all the problems that come with digging before you call. Because if you hit one of those lines that's right beneath the surface, it's going to cause you problems. Water lines, gas lines, power lines, it doesn't matter. Whatever you hit is going to cause problems for you or your neighbor. So don't be that guy. Call 811.
This is a true story. We woke up this morning having coffee with the missus. She asked, okay, what's the plans this weekend? I thought, oh, no. She said, no. We've got some gardening that we have to do at our new house. I want to make sure that we're doing it the right way. We've got to call 811 before we dig. And so I'm going to make that call after the show, going to get that all set up. That way I know exactly what I can do in the backyard. They're going to come out. They're going to mark it. It's going to be easy, right? It's easy to make that call, but it's also easy. They're going to take care of all the hard work. They're going to mark where the lines are, make it easy for you in that weekend project. It's the law. Call 811 before you dig. Tune in tonight as NFLSU takes center stage when Odell Beckham Jr. and the Cleveland Browns host Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. The NFL lives on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her Auctioner primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an Auctioner care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioner Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, We've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All Star Toyota today.
Coming up on Fridays Off the Bench, we kick off Football Friday. Hunt Palmer, Cole Kubelik, and the trio of degenerate gamblers all stop by, preview the college and NFL weekends, and a brand new OTB Casual Friday tier list. 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
See the obnoxious amount of money come in on Phil Mickelson to win this tournament?
That's not very smart because he can't hit it in the fairway, and that's all you're supposed to do. Although on the first hole, he sliced his tee shot off the world, and I texted my friends and said he's going to shoot 90, and he made birdie from where he hit it. So that's just Phil.
Phil may be one of the most creative short game players in the world out of rough, out of sand. Yeah. He can still.
Well, he spent his last 15. I mean, he spent really his entire career scrambling and making crazy shots.
If you look at all of the golfers that won 3 legs of the career Grand Slam, it just shows you how hard it is. Guys like Arnold Palmer and Lee Trevino and many. He may be the most unfortunate case just because of how many times
he
has
finished second 6 times.
6 times, and the one in 2006 that he went at Wingfoot. He went to 18 with the lead, and needed only a bogey to get into a playoff. And of course he hit it behind the tent, behind the tree, whatever. And
he hit it off the tent behind a tree, and instead of hitting it out in the fairway and trying to get up and down to win or get up in 2-putt to make the playoff, he tried to bend a 5-iron around a tree out of the rough, and he hit it off the tree, and it went 20 yards. But that's Phil. That's what he does.
And people want to. He's a very popular figure. Sure. They want to see him complete the career Grand Slam, and now he's sort of aged out.
He said it at Pebble last year. He said, after he didn't win at Pebble, I don't even know if he made the cut, and he had won there so many times, including 5 months earlier. And he said after Pebble, he said, that's not going to happen. It's just I realize it's not going to happen, and this may be his last go round because he said he's not going to take an exemption, and he may not qualify because he may not be in the top 60 by this time next year. By the US Open
what exemption did he get to get in?
He's still in the top 60, so okay. he's that gets you into the U.S. Open. So that's why he's there, but he's close.
Okay, so we'll keep you up to date on what's going on at the U.S. Open. In the meantime, I wanted to get to one more piece from Ed. This was over on Scott Linehan, who is Joe Brady's replacement.
Finding out what our quarterback can do and let him do it best. Every quarterback's different. And we think that Miles has had a great camp. Scott has put in the passing game that Miles can do, that Max can do, that TJ can do, that our receivers can do. It's very similar to what we had last year, but it's a little bit different. Some different formations, some different routes. But overall, I thought Scott has done a tremendous job on our football team. He's a great professional. He's a great staff guy.
Okay, so you've talked a little bit about what Linehan does. We talked about red area. We talked about third down. Talk to me about backup quarterback here for a moment, because we got that on Tiger Zone last night, and I kind of threw my hands up because I've heard O talk very little about what would happen if Miles Brennan had to leave the game.
I would assume it'd be Max, because just kind of hearing people around the building now TJ's lost a ton of weight, and I think he's ahead of where they thought he would be in his development. But I think Max gives you a little bit different running option, right? When we've heard Coach O talk about Max Johnson, it's been, man, he broke off a long run today on an RPO. So when you're a true freshman, your throwing skills and how you read coverage is going to be a little bit behind, especially in this offseason. But if you can get in there and you have the ability to run the football, well, you can lean on that a little bit. So if Miles did go down, I think Max would be the first guy in, and you would see the offense run more RPOs. They would run, something closer to the line of scrimmage to get him more comfortable, but he would be the guy who steps in place.
I've actually heard some buzz on Max Johnson, just kind of in putting out feelers, kind of what's the deal, and you talk to some people. Here's the best way I can put it. If right now, if I could buy Max Johnson stock, I would buy it real low, because I think that he's got a chance to be a really good player at LSU. My sincere hope is that's not for a couple of years, but I think that he's got a chance to be really good.
Ordinarily, this is one of those camp battles that we'd be talking about, right? Everybody loves to talk about the backup quarterback job. We've had several of these, right? This one's been really quiet. Maybe it's because there's less access and all of those things, but a whole lot less about that.
I've also gotten a lot of, well, if Brennan goes down, all you got is a couple of freshmen. And my response to that is, yeah, last year if Joe would have gone down, you had a pretty veteran backup quarterback. But that's not the case anywhere. If your backup quarterback is a junior, he left already. He's playing quarterback for somebody else. So that's just the nature of the sport now.
What happens if Mac Jones goes down at Alabama?
They're putting that freshman from California.
Young's going in the game, and
right.
he's a freshman, and that's just the nature of the position now.
Clemson's got freshmen back up. Yeah, I mean it's all over the place.
The last quarterback that took over for Clemson was a freshman. He ran the fourth year guy off, right?
Sent him to Mizzou.
Yeah, so
I forgot about that.
Well, Kelly Bryant info here.
It's just kind of how it works now. You're going to have young backups, otherwise they're leaving the program. One more from him, and this was he didn't hesitate when they asked him what was different about the defense.
Using our speed, putting our players in a position to make plays. And, the 4-3 allows you to do that. We're not just going to sit back and let them dictate what they're going to do to us. We're going to dictate what they do to them. Bo's an excellent game day caller. The guy is the best defensive coordinator I've been with since Pete Carroll. He's from the Pete Carroll tree. But you know what? He brings a lot of energy. He brings a lot of excitement. The players want to play for him. I think that you're going to see more blitzing. We're going to blitz our corners, our safeties, our linebackers. You're going to see a lot of press coverage. You're going to see a lot of pressure on the quarterback, which you like.
And there was another clip. I thought it was in that piece, but it wasn't, where he said, everything's going to be different. Is everything going to be different?
You think O likes the 4-3 at the 3-4 more? I can't quite tell from his preseason pressers.
Oh, it's going to be different. There's not going to be as much thinking for the defensive players. You're going to see corner blitzes, like he mentioned, cat blitzes, which is not something that we saw from Dave Aranda a ton. I can remember, being in practice, and you always want to know, all right, where's Johnson Zenon? Where's he at? Because Bo will send him at any time. Shevis wasn't as much. He wasn't as aggressive as Johnson Zenon was, but those are the type of things that you'll see that will look a little different.
Kudos to you for not taking the open opportunity to criticize the intellect of defensive players when you said they don't have to think. A lot of offensive guys would have taken a shot there. You didn't do that. Thanks to not succumbing to the temptation.
Just a quick question, and I would know this because we'd usually be able to go to practice and they'd run through some sled drill and I'd be able to figure it out, or some kind of turnover drill. The first defensive snap for LSU, Ika and Logan will be in the middle. Is that correct? Who are the outside guys?
Moore and Anthony, I would think.
Trevez Moore and Andre Anthony?
I think they get the first shot. You're going – now, we know what college football looks like now, right? And so you're going to see more sub-packages. We know that, right? So I expect the freshmen to get in there pretty soon. I'm talking about Webb, Ojulari. I expect to see them pretty early. But I do think that that's going to be your first two out of the gate.
A lot of people are asking us about 18. There's this rumor going on. This is out of the Bayou 4 chat about it going to Racy McMahon. You really don't know, right? You have an idea, but
yes, I have a very good idea. It is a short list. It's a good problem to have. We've had many conversations with a lot of the decision makers, and there's a couple of guys that they're making it almost impossible to choose between.
Okay, so you get to vote, you get to express your opinion, but you don't. No, right?
I don't know. No, it's definitely not my final decision. But yeah, we had those conversations, and that's one of my favorite, things about it is we get a chance to discuss different names. I mean, Racy was definitely a guy that would have been in the conversation. That's the problem. There's a lot of guys that could qualify.
When do they get added to the Matt Flynn list group text with all the 18s?
Yeah, Matt Flynn's definitely not involved in that. He is never going to be involved in that. I could speak on that for about 30 minutes, but. I know the short list. I'll put it that way. There's two guys I think that are on the short list.
It's the guys we've been talking about, right? It's not going to be.
It's not rocket science.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll take a break. Back on the other side, hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Saints coverage, Chiefs, Cowboys, Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night football. From the opening kickoff to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, the NFL lives on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All Star Toyota today.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Do you know someone who sets a good example for all of us to follow? Someone who shows leadership, selflessness, and service to their community without being asked? We think that's the definition of a good citizen, and so does Citizens Bank and Trust. If you know someone who exhibits all of these qualifications, nominate them for a Good Citizen Award, and they could receive $500 from Citizens Bank. And we'll recognize them here on the show. Get the details at citizensbankandtrust.com, and then nominate your good citizen.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
It's a Thursday edition of Game Time with Jimmy Ott and Ben Mintz. We're live from Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar for our Thursday night football watch party. Come watch Joe Burrow and the Bengals take on the Browns, or tune in here to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
If you're looking for a way to help the victims of Hurricane Laura, consider donating to Trey Quinn's fundraiser on behalf of United Way of Southwest Louisiana. 100% of the donations will go towards Hurricane Laura immediate response and long-term recovery efforts. Any donation, no matter how small, will help make an impact. Find the link on our Twitter and Facebook pages. They are pinned to the top of those pages.
I brought lunch for everybody on this floor yesterday. Hunt keeps his streak intact of bringing lunch for no one. Tell us where you should have brought us
There's
lunch
nothing
from.
stopping me from putting in my pickup time at Hungry Howie's at like 12:40 and picking it up right at 12:40 and zipping down government. I just haven't done it. That's true. Look, it's going to be a heavy couch weekend for a lot of people. The NFL's back. You got college football. The U.S. Open's on. You're not going to want to move. Get pizza delivered or go pick it up. Hungry Howie's. Right there on Nicholson, just south of LSU's campus. You can order on the app. We tell you about the great deals they've got. You can get 3 medium one-topping pizzas for $15. That's $5 a pizza. You can't beat it. Or you can get a carry-out special or large for $7.99, a 2-topping. And something that goes great with that pizza, if you got a group there, Howie bread. It's delicious, baked in the store every single day. You can get the 3-cheeser Howie bread. You can get a pepperoni stuffed Howie bread, a bacon stuffed Howie bread. If you want a little kick in your life, get some jalapeno stuffed Howie bread or that Cajun stuffed Howie bread that's got the Tony Chachere's in it. If you're looking for something sweet, they got cinnamon Howie bread as a little bit of a dessert feature as well. So download the app, set your pickup time, set your delivery time. They'll have it ready for you. Hungry Howie's bringing you Hanging with Hester, Hanny, and Hunt every Tuesday and Thursday.
Breaking news out of somewhere in Europe, I'm guessing. Hester?
Wait, somewhere in Europe? Yeah. Mondo Duplantis just had the highest outdoor pole vault I think that we've ever seen, a little over 20 feet.
20 feet, 2 1/4, I think it is. They put it in meters, which just threw
20 feet, 2.126 inches. There you go, Hanny.
Of all the sports that I could go out and try to do professionally and make a fool out of myself, I struggle to think of one I would be worse at than pole vaulting. Like, I could get in there and try to face Aroldis Chapman. It would not go very well, but I could give it an effort. I could go in there and get decked by DeMario Davis trying to run the football. Me trying to pole vault, that would probably be the funniest of all of them. That would not go well.
You could really, really hurt yourself.
I don't think I could get high enough off the ground to hurt myself unless I just impale myself.
Yeah. Trust me. We had pole vaulting tryouts, okay? Not try, but just anybody want to try this, okay? We had one guy. This is a Class A school, so it's not a huge enrollment. We had one guy who could pole vault, okay? He could. I don't even remember what he cleared, but he could actually bend the pole and get over the deal. Everybody else that tried this thing, I mean, the coach called it off after about 6 guys because somebody is going to hurt themselves. They're going to break an ankle. They're going to impale themselves. They're going to bend the pole in a way in which it might snap or something. And I saw a pole vault snap. I saw a pole snap at a high school meet once. And basically the vaulter missed getting his lip, ripped off by maybe 3 inches. And I'm like, if you don't know what you're doing, you can really, really hurt yourself. But I did want to say this about Mondo Duplantis. Think about this for a minute. Of all the great athletes that have come through LSU in all the different sports, Mondo Duplantis is the best at what he does of anybody that has ever been an athlete at LSU. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal's been the NBA MVP, but he's not, or Pete Maravich was the NCAA scoring leader, but are they the absolute best basketball player that ever played?
I see what you're saying.
It's subjective.
Yeah,
okay.
it's a little bit easier when there's a world record and you break it. You can say, no.
And he's broken it multiple times now.
Yeah. Nobody's ever done this. I've done this. It's my record.
Right.
So I get what you're saying. It's impressive. And Hunt was kind of talking during the break, can this be lucrative for you as far as how much money you can make? Absolutely. You can get endorsements. That's why Xavier Carter quit football initially, because he got some money to run track for Nike. Now, it didn't work out for him, but it was enough for him to think, I can make more money in track and field than I can in football.
You have to live in Europe, though. Or you have to compete in Europe.
Yeah, have
mostly.
to compete, and he represents Sweden. That's the country that he chose. Obviously, his family has ties to that country, and maybe that can possibly even get him more endorsements.
Yeah, good for him, and he's going to break that record again multiple times. He's in his prime. I went out to watch him vault the last meet he vaulted at Bernie Moore, and he broke. It was 4 records in a row. He broke trying to remember the order. I think it was the stadium record or the LSU record, the stadium record, and he held the stadium record from when he had broken it in high school. The LSU record, the SEC record, and then he was on the cusp of breaking the NCAA record, which he missed. But there were only it was the last thing going, and there were only about probably 100 people there. And they let everybody go down on the track. And I thought, man, this guy's about to go for the NCAA record. no way he wants people around him that close, because they let you actually, and I was just in the stand, they didn't have a media pass or anything. They let everybody stand on the track and watch him vault. And he got into it. I'm thinking this guy's got to have, be completely focused on what he's doing to try to break this record. He doesn't want any distraction. He certainly doesn't want fans within, 20 feet of him or something like that. Thankfully this was way before COVID. And he starts clapping. He gets the crowd into it. There's 100 people in there clapping. And he broke, like I said, multiple records before he missed out on the NCAA thing. But he is he's unbelievably athletic, and he's obviously very good in his discipline. But the records that he's broken are from guys that are 1 to 3 years older than him at the time. It was Sergei Bubka, the Russian.
Of course.
You guys don't remember Bubka? He broke the pole vault record multiple times. He was a Soviet in the 80s.
Yeah.
I just somehow missed that.
Missed that one.
Try to teach you guys something. Anyway, he was like 2 or 3 years older than what Duplantis is. So you're talking about a prime for a pole vaulter, and Bubka did it into his 30s. But somewhere between 20 and 25 is your prime for a pole vault. He's got 4 years left of breaking this record again.
So, the Duplantis is now, that LSU family's kind of LSU royalty, right? I mean,
all-time hits leader.
All-time hits. Now you got this record. They go with the Temples. I mean, there's always a Temple that's playing basketball at LSU as well. We need to come up with a list, like the first families of LSU athletics.
Garrett just had a son, so we may have another one coming down the pike.
Will Wade's already offered him.
Good.
We'll take a break. Hunt, have a good weekend. I understand you have wedding activities to get to.
We got some stuff going on tonight. We'll figure it out, and I'm going to get back and watch some golf.
We just hear your schedule, and we just smile because it's not our schedule. Ronnie Ranson at 2 o'clock hour. We got a new class in Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame to talk about. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana Products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
This isn't just another day, it's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Callahan Injury Lawyers.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. It is Justin Thomas alone at the top of the leaderboard on this first day of the U.S. Open. Patrick Reed, who had a hole-in-one on the 7th, is one back. Rory McIlroy, 2 off the lead. Tiger Woods, opening round 73, 6 bogeys. He's 8 off the lead. Dustin Johnson through 6 today is 6 back. Heat and Celtics get back on the floor for Game 2 of the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals tonight. Miami up 1-0 in the series, on a roll in the playoffs, 9-1 overall. Much credit going to Jimmy Butler, explains 2-time NBA champ Chris Bosh.
He's that guy that's going to do whatever it takes to win. He'll take the last shot. He'll defend the best player with them taking the last shot. He'll dive on the floor. He's just a hard-nosed blue-collar worker, and that's what we mean by Heat guy. He's just going to come in and compete and make sure, they get the job done.
Chris Bosh with Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, and Zubin Mehenti. Down 3-2, a must-win for the Islanders in Game 6 of the NHL's East Final tonight against the Lightning. NFL, ESPN's Adam Schefter reports all Browns and Bengals players and staff testing negative for COVID-19 ahead of tonight's game.
Coming up Friday, a huge Game 2 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Is it already a must-win for the Celtics? Plus, the West Finals are ready to start. Keyshawn, Jay, Will, and Zubin. Friday, 6 Eastern, ESPN Radio, ESPN News.
Now, Hangin with Hester and Hanny with Jacob Hester and Charles Hanagriff. Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger. Alongside Jacob Hester, here's Charles Hanagriff.
Warm studio lasted one day. We're back to freezing in here. Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
What did Gordy say about it last night?
It wasn't cold in here last night. Because we had like 9 people in here too. So there was training going on. There was a little party going on. It was fun first night at Tiger Zone.
Good.
Yeah, we'll keep that going every Wednesday night. And of course, the temperature will be regulated. You were listening to us on 1130 The Tiger up in Shreveport, watching us on CST or on YouTube. The Hester and Hanny page, Hang with Hester and Hanny page, or the 104.5 ESPN page. Welcome in for hour number 3. Ronnie Rant's here in about 12 minutes.
Well, it's rants, so hopefully 12 minutes. It could be 15, depending on where he's at right now.
Really should have given myself a range there. New class in the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame for 2021 that includes Glenn Dorsey from LSU, Ricky Weeks from Southern, Marcus Colston from the Saints, and former LSU track and field coach Pat Henry. We'll talk with Jumbo here in about, in the next segment.
There you go. Perfect.
He doesn't have to come here, right? We got to go and call him?
Yeah. So
okay, so it gives us a little bit more. Preseason All-SEC team?
Yeah, 2020 preseason coaches All-SEC team, which is always my favorite to go to. You got Derek Stingley Jr., Jacoby Stevens on the first team. No real surprise there. The second team All-SEC, you've got Austin Deculus, Ed Ingram, Terrace Marshall Jr., Derek Stingley Jr. again for all-purpose, and kicker Cade York. And on the third team for all SEC, you've got Eric Gilbert at the tight end position and Glenn Logan on the defensive front.
How do you feel about putting freshmen on those teams?
We've seen it before. It's kind of become the last couple of years. I mean, think about it. I mean, even 10, 15 years ago, you wouldn't have seen it. But you're starting to learn, these guys can transition a little bit faster from high school to college. I have no problem with it. Everyone we talk to from across the street, that's the first name out of their mouth. So they're expecting a lot. Other coaches have picked up on that as well. So it's not really a surprise. I think it's a good sign if you look at this in its totality for LSU. Deculus and Ingram being on second team, that gives you a little bit of faith of what the coaches think about their skill set on the offensive front, which has kind of been a question. And I think Glenn Logan being on here is something. Not a lot of LSU fans talk about Glenn Logan. I get it. He's a defensive tackle. He didn't have the parade coming in like Tyler Shelvin did. He's a hell of a football player. When he was injured at times, LSU felt that, right? They felt that in 2018 when he was injured. It was something that stood out to me. So it's good to see him on there as well. No Jabril Cox.
Well, that's kind of where I was going with this. When you vote for a freshman, and by the way, I have no doubt that Gilbert is going to be worthy of probably higher than what they're ranking him, but you're taking the word of other coaches, right? That's the only way, because none of the other coaches have been to LSU's practices. They're going off a high school film. There's a lot of guys that are highly recruited. He's one of the highest ever, but you're basing this a little bit on what another coach tells you, right? Because they've all got good high school film. That's my only thing. At least, in the case of Cox, you've got a guy that has been up at North Dakota State and has
seen it.
Yeah, you go and look at a little bit of film. So you like the coach's film? You like the coach's team better than the?
I do, because and I'm part of the media now, so it's not. I mean, I'm just saying. Sometimes you just don't know as much on everyone. You don't know about a guy at Vanderbilt if you cover South Carolina. If you cover LSU, you don't know about the South Carolina guy a little bit, right? So the coaches, they know the players, because for the most part, you've either played against them or you're going to play against them, and you've seen them. So,
well, what about coaches that you have a cross-divisional opponent that you haven't seen? But I ask because sometimes
it's just a bigger sample size of who you've actually played against or seen, and like you mentioned, you can pick up the phone and call guys that you trust, and you still see it, at least on film, because, Hanny, you can be watching, preparing for Tennessee, but if they played against Kentucky, and even though you didn't play against Kentucky, you saw that guy on film.
Okay. All conference teams, I'm completely with you. All American teams, I think, is tough.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because then, if you're watching film of SEC teams, there might be a guy in the Pac-12 that's really good.
Yep.
But you haven't seen him, so that's okay. That's okay. Speaking of the national stuff and how different people may see different regions of the country, now that the Big Ten has decided that they will actually play football, where they fit into the conversation for the national title in the playoffs is going to be a running debate all year, because they're going to start considerably behind the other power conferences. Heather Dennis, who covers the college football playoff for ESPN, weighed in on that topic.
Well, I spoke with CFP Executive Director Bill Hancock earlier today, and it is clear that the selection committee is once again going to have to deal with uneven scheduling. But we also talked about how the CFP has yet to determine any benchmark to qualify for the college football playoff. Can the Big Ten get in this thing with only 8 games? Well, let's ask the question, what if Clemson only plays 5 games? Can Clemson qualify for a semifinal spot? Can Alabama get in it if their only games are 7 games and they're disrupted by the virus? So those benchmarks haven't been set. Bill Hancock told me it's too early. We're going to let these scenarios unfold and see what happens, but it's certainly going to be tough for the committee to decide this, though the protocol hasn't changed.
Ordinarily, I don't listen to much of what Bill Hancock says, because for years he's been a mouthpiece, and he will change his opinion based on who he's basically being a shill for. Mm-hmm. For years, he was an anti-playoff guy because he was hired to be the face of the BCS, and as soon as the BCS went away and it was a playoff, then he became the face of that. So I usually don't listen to what he says, because he's just going to say what he's being told. It's going to be a public relations piece. But in this case, I agree with him. I wouldn't put I wouldn't put benchmarks in at this point. I wouldn't put requirements in at this point. I think this is going to be the most subjective season ever. I don't want to say that a team's got to play at least 8 games or at least 9 games or, any kind of this many conference games or whatever. I don't want the reason that Clemson gets in over Ohio State to be that they played 1 extra game against the Citadel. Okay, I don't want that to be the reason that they get in over Oklahoma. Now, if they're the best team, and we think Clemson's better than those teams, but okay.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be – there's a very good possibility that there will lie a 7-0 team that had 3 games not played because of no fault of their own. And I don't want an LSU or an Alabama or a Georgia or a Florida to be left out of this thing if they end up 7-0 and the 3 games that they had to opt out of because of COVID were against Arkansas, Vanderbilt, and Missouri. So I'm actually with him on this thing.
I think that throughout this entire process, we have seen that patience is really been key. I don't think we need to rush to anything. I think just allowing it to play out a little bit organically as far as, what can get done before you do this is the right play, because we don't know. I mean, we can have our best guess, but it's going to be all over the place. You're going to have teams in the same conference. I truly believe that don't play the same amount of games. I just think that's how it's going to be. And so once we get farther along in this and we see what it looks like, then if you want to start to put protocols as far as where everything's got to be in place, okay, I'm completely fine with that. But right now, we don't know.
And it's important, I think, for everybody to kind of agree to this before your team gets screwed, okay? Because once you're complaining on the side of your team getting screwed, you lose a lot of credibility because you're screaming for your team, which I understand why people scream for their team. But let's not wait until after your team plays a certain amount of games and another team plays a certain amount of games and say, well, that's not fair. No, we're going to look at it at the time. We're not going to say you got to play 6, you got to play 7, you got to play 8, you got to play 9. That should be obvious when it gets there. If you play in a Southeastern Conference schedule and let's say 3 of your 6 games are against 3 of the Big 4, and then you finish out your season and you go to the SEC Championship game and you win another one, but you've only played 7 games. Well, I think it'd be pretty obvious to everybody that you would be worthy of being in the national playoff at that point. But if you're in the SEC and the 3 games that you missed were against the Big 3, let's say Auburn goes 7-0, but they missed the Alabama game, they missed the LSU game, and they missed the Georgia game. Well, that's going to be a pretty big hole in their resume. Yeah. And the same thing, again, let's be sure we understand that before we know who's going to get screwed. Somebody's going to get screwed, right? Or somebody's going to feel like they got screwed. So let's say before we do anything, let's not set these benchmarks, because if you do, you're guaranteeing that somebody is going to be screwed mathematically, maybe through no fault of their own. In normal years, if your non-conference schedule bites you in the behind, I say, okay, you know what? You're in charge of that. If your conference stinks, you're not in charge of that, but sometimes that's just how it falls. Let's wait and see.
Yeah,
let's wait and see.
Every year there's an argument. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are. There's
an
argument every year. There'll be one this year. It's going to be one next year. There was one last year, even though it was somewhat clear-cut. We didn't really – right? The debate is going to be LSU or Ohio State at number 1. College football is a debatable sport, to say the least. It's going to be the same scenario this year.
We'll take a break. We'll come back and talk about the new class, Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
GMFS Mortgage, GMFSmortgage.com. They talk about changing lives. What are they talking about? They're talking about changing your budget every month. That's certainly going to change your life. Your biggest bill is probably your rent or your mortgage. That's the way it is for most Americans. So wouldn't it be a great deal for your life if that was a little bit lower? If instead of renting, you were owning your own home, maybe paying a little bit less, but certainly building equity. If you are in a home where your interest rate is a little bit too high, owe it to yourself right now to take a look because the rates are as low as they have ever been. Maybe you can pay off your home a little bit early. Maybe it's time to go shopping for a new home, your first opportunity to buy with this kind of purchasing power because of these low interest rates. Whatever your financial goals, GMFS Mortgage can help you achieve them. Sit with a local counselor, answer a few questions, determine your goals. They'll walk you step by step there all the way through the closing. Do what I did, do what thousands of others have done, and start your financial journey today at gmfsmortgage.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Do you know the proper way to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in your office? We do. We're Hanny, a leader in the cleaning industry for over 30 years, and we've developed comprehensive programs to address proper cleaning and disinfection. We have experience in applying disinfecting programs in hospitals, office buildings, schools, and other venues. Now we're ready to help and able to assist customers that need disinfecting services.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Coming up on Fridays Off the Bench, we kick off Football Friday. Hunt Palmer, Cole Kubelik, and the trio of degenerate gamblers all stop by. We'll preview the college and NFL weekends and a brand new OTB Casual Friday tier list. 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Well, they haven't yet inducted the class of 2020 yet. Usually that happens in the summer, but they'll do that this December. But they have announced the class for 2021 at the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Ronnie Rance joins us now, the executive director or president, Grand Poobah, the Louisiana Sports Hall. How you doing, Ronnie?
I'm doing well, fellas. Thanks for having me on. I've been missing, hanging with Hester and Hanny for a while now.
The biggest question, Ronnie, of course, is how many tables have we sold?
Jacob, gotten off to a slow start this morning, but we expect tomorrow to be a banner day.
That's all that matters.
Jumbo, this class has got some real star power at the top. Glenn Dorsey is in this class. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf is in this class. Ricky Weeks, Golden Spikes winner at Southern, is in this class. Marcus Colston, the Saints' all-time leading receiver, is in this class. And former LSU head track and field coach Pat Henry is in this class. So kind of take me through it. I know it's a lot of work, and you start with a blank piece of paper and a ton of nominations, and you have to go from there.
Yeah, every year in the month of August, we have about 35 Louisiana Sports Writers Association members, all of which have been in the business, 15 or more years, really. And this year, I mean, I say it every year that it's always so tough to come up with a name, but we had about 150 people nominated, and these are people that have the qualifications to truly be on a nomination list. It's not like, hey, I started 2 years at Menard High and didn't play in college, but I was all district, that type of stuff. I mean, these are people that deserve to be very much considered. That list got weaned down to 75 before the meeting. We had those 35 people voted kind of online, had their rankings in their top 50. And so that 150 list got down to 75. The meeting took place in late August at Raging Cajun in Lafayette. You'll appreciate this, Jacob. We had the selection process at UL's baseball stadium.
That doesn't surprise me coming from you, Ronnie.
Yeah, we had it there. We did it virtually. We had about 12, 15 people that couldn't be there. They did it virtually. We were totally social distance. We had 40 people there voting on the process, and it was very heated. A lot of people went up to the microphone one at a time and made pitches for a lot of folks. And we went about 4 or 5 rounds deep to get this 8-person class. And as you mentioned, it's very star-studded with some of the big names. And I'm excited for one of your teammates, Jacob, Glenn Dorsey, who, didn't have the NFL career that everybody expected he would have with injuries and whatnot. But, of course, as the, most star-studded defensive player for one season LSU's ever had.
Yeah, and that's where I really wanted to go, Ronnie, because when you get into any type of Hall of Fame at 35 years old, you've done something right. And he was so dominant for LSU. You mentioned it, the most decorated defensive player in LSU history. He was a guy that was a game changer from a position that you typically don't have a game changer. But we saw teams try to change up what they were doing when they knew they had to go against Glenn Dorsey. We saw teams take cheap shots at Glenn Dorsey because they tried anything they could to slow him down. This is truly one of those no-brainers, I would assume.
Yeah, it was. And, with the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, because you've got sports writers that are from Shreveport, New Orleans, Lake Charles, from all over, you've got people that have maybe some bias to their colleges or whatnot. So, and they very much are not, when they vote, these sports writers are very much not, are concerned about not being so LSU-centric, right? Being the big flagship institution, it's easy to just kind of always look to LSU. So they try to diversify the class. So they put a lot of emphasis on the pro career as well. And that's where I thought maybe Glenn might have to wait a minute because people might get so carried away with thinking, well, he didn't have the all-pro NFL career. But I think folks were able to sell the fact that, hey, he's on the Mount Rushmore, of LSU football and especially on the defensive side. And so he got in this year. Marcus Colston was probably one of my favorite New Orleans Saints players, a guy who, again, didn't get those Pro Bowl accolades that he deserved. But, if it wasn't for a guy named maybe Michael Thomas, probably, he's definitely considered the greatest wide receiver, Charlie, I think, in Saints history.
Certainly got all of the numbers to back that up. Jumbo, one of the things I always like about this is I learn something about history when these lists comes out because those headliners are people that we all know. Yeah. And Courtney Blades Rogers, who was a great softball pitcher at both Nichols and Southern Miss, is another name that I know. But Mackie Freeze is not somebody that I knew very much about. Was a great high school football coach at Richwood, was also an undefeated pitcher for Grambling, and I knew nothing about Bo Dowden, who won the 1980 Bassmaster Classic Championship. So there's some different names here, and tell us a little bit about maybe the not as big names on this list.
People always get caught up in football, baseball, basketball, and they'll say, well, why was so-and-so in there? And my argument has always been, if you're the greatest to do something from the state of Louisiana, then regardless of the sport, we had over 20 different sports represented in the nomination process. You deserve to be in. And you talk about, Blades. I mean, she's from Bel Air High School in Baton Rouge. She literally holds the record for most strikeouts in the history of NCAA softball. So, boom, you're in. You're the greatest to do something. You're the Nolan Ryan of your sport. You deserve to be in. Mackie Freeze, he's 93 years old, still living. And a funny story here, he went 116 and 23, had an 834 winning percentage at Richwood High School up in the Monroe area. That school had closed down for years and came back. They were a dominant program. He was a great two-sport star at Grambling. When we told him he was getting into the Hall of Fame, because the 2020 induction class is being honored this December, being pushed back due to COVID from June to December, we said, Mr. Freeze, if you want, we can do your induction this December, and that way you don't have to wait till June of 21. And he said, absolutely. When you're 93 years old, you don't pass up an opportunity to do something sooner than later. So we will honor him as well. And you're talking about Dowden, the Bassmasters Classic champion, Charlie. He is the third outdoorsman. Jack Haynes went in. We're going to have Phil Robertson going in this December. We kind of made a conscientious decision to honor outdoorsmen, which Louisiana being the sportsman's paradise, we wanted to kind of honor those people. So we made an emphasis to put 3 in over the last 5 years, and so he'll be our third outdoorsman ever, and a guy who wasn't the first to win the Bassmasters Classic. Jack Haynes from Crowley, Louisiana, Rayne, Louisiana did that, but this guy had a stellar career over 20 years as a professional angler.
Jim, I do want to talk about that class that has not yet, like we've mentioned, gone in, that typically would have already been in the summertime. What events do you have coming up for that class, and kind of refresh our memory of who's going in this year?
Yeah, so the next event that we have coming up has been our annual Golf Classic, which was originally supposed to be in April and then May at the Golden Nugget in Lake Charles. And then, of course, the hurricane hits. So it was scheduled to be the first week of October. We've now moved it to Baton Rouge. So La Bears, Baton Rouge will be the home. We'll have a rooftop pool party on Sunday, October the 18th from 6 to 9 p.m. With all sorts of great stuff, auction items and music and everything being played up there. And then the next day, Monday, October the 19th at University Club Golf Course, we will have the Relief Windows annual Golf Classic event. That'll be at 10 a.m. So that'll be a celebrity event. We'll have athletes and celebrities throughout Louisiana that will attend those events those 2 days. So folks can go to lasportshall.com to still participate in that. But our June induction has been pushed back to the middle of December, so December 15th through 17th in Natchitoches. And we still, of course, at this point plan on having all those events. Everything. We'll have 7 or 8 different events from a celebrity bowling event to a concert on the river, fireworks, kids clinic, you name it. And that is going to take place in the middle of December, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, December 15th through 17th. And folks, again, can go to lasportshall.com to get more information on that. One-year-old coach Nick Saban is in that class. And if the Alabama Crimson Tide, of course, championship, then he'll be postponed and he will join us in the 2021 induction. But at this point, he's still, considered to be in that class.
Well, we hope that he can attend in December. LSU will do everything in their power to make sure he is able to attend that ceremony this December.
Well, he'll be joining give you a couple big names from that class. Kerry Kittles from St. Aug High School, great NBA career. Charles Peanut Tillman, who played for the Raging Cajuns and played a dozen years or more, a couple Pro Bowls with the Bears mostly, is in there. Phil Robertson from Louisiana Tech, but going in obviously as an outdoorsman. But locally, Kent Lowe and Robin Fambro, two journalists, are going in being recognized in the sports journalism category. So excited for those Baton Rouge folks, Kent Lowe and Robin Fambro, well deserved.
Given your criteria for the Louisiana Hall that you have to be the best at something, or that puts you in for sure, let's go ahead and say Mondo Duplantis is getting in one day. He just broke the world pole vault record again. I would imagine that one day he's going to go in.
We might have the whole Duplantis family in there one day, kind of like the flying Luendas, in the Packers world. We'll just put all the Duplanises in there.
Jumbo, appreciate it, man. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you, Hanny and Hester. Appreciate it, buddy.
Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame with their class of 2021.
I miss having Jumbo. Me and Jumbo spent a lot of Mondays here together. Now, was he ever on time? No. Did I ever get 2 hours from him? No. But I got like an hour and 50 minutes from him every Monday, and I miss it.
Well, we could bring him back in. I mean, from time to time.
We've kind of been on schedule here, so he's got to change his lifestyle a little bit.
Okay.
To get him back on. He would come in, and he'd always have a red slushie from Sonic. So I knew he would be here on time because he went across the street to get a Sonic, but he'd rather be red slushy Sonic in hand coming in the door than be on time.
Didn't always make it right.
It's okay, though. I always appreciate it, Ronnie, even though he's a ULL baseball fan.
We'll take a break, come back with more Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
Gotros Outdoor Powers. We wind up the summer months and get into the fall. It's time maybe for a little bit of maintenance on some of your units, our SCAG units. If you're looking for parts, there's no bigger parts inventory anywhere in the state than Gotros Outdoor Power. And, of course, those SCAG units right now still with the 60 months interest-free financing that is available to you, the terrific warranties that are available along with those things. And at Gotros Outdoor Power, if you're one of those first responders, if you're one of our fire, our police, our medical people, they're going to give you 15% off MSRP on all SCAG units, both residential and commercial.
There's 2 locations locally. You got Airline Industriaplex in Baton Rouge. You got Airline at 74 in Gonzales. Go by each location. You'll see exactly what Hanny's talking about. But don't forget, since we do have the opportunity to be on throughout the state of Louisiana, free delivery, go to GotrosOutdoorPower.com. That's Gotros. We make it easy.
Off the Bench, Hanging with Hester and Hanny, after further review and more, are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat driven by Bayou Ford.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
It's a Thursday edition of Game Time with Jimmy Ott and Ben Mintz. We're live from Joel Lee Pearl Oyster Bar for our Thursday night football watch party. Come watch Joe Burrow and the Bengals take on the Browns, or tune in here to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
You know what I hate about certain radio people is they say,
"Ooh, tell me more."
No, it's not anybody.
Oh, man.
Not anybody in particular, but they'll say, "Hey, we're going to get back to that," and they never get back to that.
Yeah.
So sometimes in my career I've hated myself,
Yes.
but you were starting to tell a story and got caught up by a break earlier. So finish telling your football story for those that were waiting the end of that.
Yeah, so we're talking about Russell Shepard and, the lack of creativity when he was a player, because he would have been a guy you could use in multiple situations. And I was telling the story of, Jimbo Fisher was very creative, and he could talk Les into becoming creative. And even if Les wasn't on board, well, Jimbo's a big personality, and he was going to run that play. So in 2002, my father-in-law, Chris Tilley, came up with a play against West Monroe when I'm at Evangel. And I'm still shocked it worked because, one, we never got under center, and the trick play started under center. But I was in the backfield. John David Booty pitched it to me. The receiver was coming on reverse. I hand it to him, and then I just kind of trickle out in the flats. Well, the receiver actually throws it back to John David Booty, the quarterback, who was standing on the other side at this point. John David throws it to me. It's a 60-yard touchdown in the Superdome against West Monroe. Okay, great play. We called it around the horn. That was the name of the play. Well, Jimbo was at the game, but Jimbo never talked about that play. And then, so fast forward 4 years later, I'm a junior. I was a junior at Evangel at the time. Now I'm a junior at LSU. It's 2006. We're about to play Alabama. And Jimbo comes up to me and goes, "Hey, I was in the dome." You know how fast he talks. I can't do it. But I was in the dome when y'all played West Monroe. Give me that play you scored on. I'm like, "Coach, around the horn? You want to run that at LSU?" He goes, "Yeah, draw it up." Sure enough, I get on the board. I draw it up, and it's not going to get called. We run it in practice. It works. It's never going to get called. We play against Alabama. He calls it. I'm completely shocked. So Jamarcus pitches it to me. I hand it to Early Doucette. Early throws it back to Jamarcus. I am by myself. Nobody around me. And for whatever reason, I still don't know the answer to this day, Jamarcus pumps it. He doesn't throw it. He pumps it. Almost like he wanted to just make sure he got the throw right. Well, when he pumped it the second time, the offensive line, because it's a long developing play, kind of breaks down, and he takes a sack. I swear to you, I could hear Jimbo Fisher from the press box saying, "Throw it, Jamarcus," because it was wide open. Now we ended up winning the game, and it wasn't a close contest, but we actually ran it in the game. And I was just giving an example of Jimbo would see something like that and say, "We're going to put it in. We're going to get creative." And we actually ran a high school Harry play against Alabama.
I'm racking my brain, and I can't remember that because what I really thought you were going to tell me that story is we called it. We went out to the huddle. Something happened. They called timeout. We called it off. Then when you said you were open, I'm like, well, damn, if they'd have scored, I would have remembered that.
By myself.
Because that's why I didn't remember it, because
and
he ended up getting sacked.
That was a point when we beat Alabama all 4 years when I was in school. It was obviously it isn't what it is now, but we ran a door screen earlier in that game that I scored on. I mean, we were very creative in that game against Alabama.
That was in Tiger Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one where LaRon Landry almost killed. Was it Brody?
He almost killed like every quarterback with the same haircut.
But this was the delayed blitz. Was it Brody Croyle or was it John Parker Wilson?
I think it would have been Brody, because I think John Parker was the 07 quarterback.
Okay.
I'll look up the game notes, Hanny. It's November 11th, 2006. Let's see who the quarterback
Landry came on a delayed blitz more than once against Alabama, and one in particular, it was in Tiger Stadium, and I thought it was Brody Croyle, but I could have it wrong. And
it was John Parker Wilson.
It was John Parker Wilson. Okay.
Yeah.
Landry almost killed him. I mean, he hit him so hard. He timed it so perfectly. He came as fast as he could run, and he was fast. And he hit him as hard as you can hit him, and he could hit really hard.
So, guys, funny, like you know, I don't remember John Parker. I thought he was the next year, but I do definitely remember the hit. We won the game 28-14. Jamarcus Russell, 18 of 21 for 207 yards, 3 touchdowns, and so he still had a pretty good day. Keelan averaged 8.8 yards a carry. I averaged 7.1 yards a carry. Jamarcus averaged 5.1 yards a carry. So offensively, it looks like we still had a pretty good day.
The 2000, what was the game where Corey Webster got away with the pass interference? Was that 04? No, because Corey was on the 03 team.
Hey, Corey played in 04.
Okay, that's right. That's right. He wasn't a senior on the 03 team.
But 04, we beat them pretty good. You know how I know? Yeah. Because I finished the game carrying the ball.
Right. Okay, so what I remember about that game was whoever the quarterback for Alabama, and that might have been Brody Croyle.
That for sure would have been.
Okay,
yeah,
so threw it to that would be what the southeast corner of the end zone, and Corey, God bless him, was beat on the play and just grabbed the guy and tackled him. And because he did, he was able to intercept the ball, and he ran it back to like midfield. And I'm like, ain't no way this is standing. I mean, it was one step below what happened to Tommy Lee in the dome.
How do you remember that?
I remember that because the only damn call LSU got against Alabama for like 10 years. I'm like, we finally got one because there's no way. Look, Webster was a great defensive back, but it was a bad play for him. Yeah. And he just yanks the guy down. I mean, just mauls him, intercepts the ball and runs it about halfway, about 50 yards back down the field. And I'm thinking it's like, there's going to be so many flags on the ground. It's going to be like the United Nations at 5:00, and there's nobody there. Those are the things that, of course, Alabama got it back in spades. I mean, they got 10 calls back because of that one. But that's when I remember that LSU got. Webster was guilty, and he didn't get caught that time.
And it's funny, like you'll remember that. And I'm sure people inside the Bayou Fort chat will remember that as well. Brooks actually comments, when I was at Parkview, we ran the same play called merry-go-round. We ran it in the state championship game in 2007. See? It's just a movement. Maybe we started it. Maybe we stole it. I don't know, but they ran it as well in the 07 championship game.
If it would have worked, they might have run it again. Like the old flip over the head on the fake field goal.
Yeah.
I mean, LSU ran that twice, and it worked both times. Wasn't the first time I ever saw that run was against LSU. Auburn ran it in '99 here in that 41-7 debacle. That was a cigar game. That was the first time I saw it run. But the time LSU ran against South Carolina, but they ran against Florida too. When they ran against Florida, they did it on the bounce.
Oh, I was watching that game. Had a couple doll hairs on that one, and
if they tried to run that exactly like that, they couldn't do it. I mean, if they told the defense what was coming, like, let's reenact this play for a movie, they couldn't do it. I mean, it'd take them 250 takes to run it. But that was when Les was running.
Yeah, you're right.
Running lucky on that
one. That's before everything changed.
Jasper made it by like 2 blades of grass, I think, the first down, and it worked out.
And if ours would have worked against Alabama, every high school in the state of Louisiana probably would have continued to run it. The game you were talking about, though, with C-Web, it was 10-6 at halftime. Alabama actually led the game. We ended up winning 26-10, so pulled away there in the second half. But it was right before halftime, as someone points out in the chat. So it was a big play in the game. I'm so bad about remembering some things because you play so many games and you kind of forget. Spencer Pennington was the quarterback for Alabama. I guess I missed his tenure
vaguely
when he was there. I had 1 carry for 10 yards. Let's go, Hanny.
It's a healthy average. Take a break, come back. We'll do Ask Us in the Bayou Ford chat. Got our random question generator, and we're down Paul O'Neill today, so I don't know. Maybe we'll Playboy Marty, bring your A game. You gotta pick up for Paul here today. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Do you know the proper way to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in your office? We do. We're Hanny, a leader in the cleaning industry for over 30 years, and we've developed comprehensive programs to address proper cleaning and disinfection. We have experience in applying disinfecting programs in hospitals, office buildings, schools, and other venues. Now we're ready to help and able to assist customers that need disinfecting services.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can get into a RAV4 for $3,000 off MSRP. That's right, $3,000 off MSRP. And we have plenty in stock. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota.
Coming up on Fridays off the bench, we kick off Football Friday. Hunt Palmer, Cole Kublik, and the trio of degenerate gamblers all stop by, preview the college and NFL weekends, and a brand new OTB Casual Friday tier list. 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you by Richard Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Crew doing work here during the break. They found that play.
I can't believe it. Like, Cade is the GOAT for finding this play. I don't know if I've ever actually seen the replay in 14 years.
Well, this is the, what are you calling it?
Around the horn.
Around the horn. Okay, so if you're listening on the radio, can't help you, but we're actually, if you're watching with us on CST, we've got the play. And Playboy Marty's going to put this up. This is, hang on, let me set it up. Pause it for a second. This is third, for the radio listeners, this is third quarter. LSU's leading Alabama 21-14 with 10:58 to go in the third quarter. This is 2006, you said?
2006.
Okay.
Just broke off about a 27-yard run, and we're coming back, and there's some confusion going on at first as to where to line up.
So this is a Les Miles team, so the I formation is kind of given. 2 receivers to the near side and Russell at quarterback. All right, go ahead and run the play here. This is who's this? Doucette and
Early Doucette, and it looks like Debo.
Okay, so he pitches to Hester, pitches it to Doucette, who pitches it back to DeMarcus.
Open.
Okay, he hesitated. The defender was.
But did you see the hesitation?
I did see the hesitation.
Okay, if you just throw it right when you get the ball, I'm open at that point.
Are we going to have to take your word for it, or are they going to show the replay from like the end zone or
You're
something here?
going to have to take my word for it, I think, because this is back in 2006 where you didn't have all the camera angles. I don't think they end up showing the replay, but did you see the hesitation?
I did see the hesitation. Wait, we do have a replay. All right, let's see you leak. Oh my, you are open. Oh my,
is that open?
Oh my, you are open.
And look at Jamarcus.
Oh wow,
look at the openness here.
You are a hash and a half open. Oh my, yeah, that's. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a touchdown. That guy had the angle on you and wouldn't have been able to catch you. You would have had such a lead there.
As Jimbo would say, damn it, Jamarcus.
Wow. All right.
And Jay Russell's my guy, by the way.
Completely forgot.
Jay Russell's 18 of 21 on the game with 3 tugs, but it was open.
You were open.
I was open.
Look, you were not
I didn't know
telling a falsehood.
I didn't know we were going to have the replay. I didn't even know it was that bad.
I had forgotten that play. I could not with any recollection of that. All right, let's go to Ask Us. Let's see. We'll start with this is from Chris. If the Clippers were willing to trade Doc and Kawhi for Zion, would you take it? I would not. A lot of reasons, but the biggest one for me would be that Kawhi is on pretty much a perennial 2-year deal. I've got Zion under my control if I'm the Pels for 5 more years at a reasonable cost. Kawhi, I'm going to have to re-recruit every 2 years. I'm going to have to re-recruit Kawhi 2, maybe 3 more times in the time that I control Zion, and at max dollars, I can build around Zion.
Do you want Doc?
I think Doc Rivers is a good coach, but it has not worked for him in the last 2 playoffs.
Not to be putting him in trades. There's other options. Give me Billy Donovan. Give me. There's a list of candidates out there. I mean, I know
I'm not saying.
Somebody we talked
Listen,
about.
I'm not saying Kawhi is not better than Zion right now. He is. I mean, there's not any question about that. But the contract would be a no-go for me because I don't know where Kawhi is going to be every 2 years. Kawhi is going to do what LeBron has done for the past 8 years, which is he is going to put himself in wherever he thinks he can win a championship, and if he doesn't think he's going to opt out after a second year. That's how he's going to structure his contracts. Let's see. Ask Hester, fastest player you ever played with. Can I take a shot at this?
Yeah.
Trendon Holiday?
He could pick them up and put them down, as they say. Yeah, Trendon's always going to be the first guy that comes to mind. There's other players. Richard Goodman, when I played in San Diego, he played at Florida State. He could absolutely run. Bubba Caldwell, when I was with the Denver Broncos, played at Florida. He could run. Nobody comes close to Trendon, though. Trendon made your job so easy if you were on special teams with him.
Yeah.
You don't have to block him. You just got to touch the guy that's in front of you, and Trendon's going to be past you.
Who was faster, him or you? You were there when Xavier Carter got to campus.
I played with, yeah. We're same signing class. Yeah, we played together.
Yeah.
But Trendon for me. Now, you're talking about a 100-yard sprint. Maybe it's different, but football speed, Trendon was the same speed in pads and on the football field that he was on the track. That's what made him different. Xavier could run. I mean, it goes without saying, but it was just different when you're on the football field than the track.
Gotcha. Ask us, ever had a Monte Cristo sandwich?
Oh, absolutely. Fried sandwich? You bet.
I've never
You've never had a fried sandwich at Monte Cristo?
No.
Oh, it's really good.
I had a fried peanut butter and jelly once.
That's good, too. Bennigan's used to have it. used to be out there on Segan or Bluebonnet, I believe. They used to have that sandwich. Garfield's in St. Vincent Mall in Shreveport, Louisiana used to have the same sandwich as well. It is fantastic. Look up the recipe. I know Tracy can get it done.
Okay. Ask Jake, can we call Jamarcus to discuss this play?
Yeah,
that sounds like something we should do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Jay Russ has been on the show many a times. We'll call him to discuss.
Okay. Let's see. Ask us, Cincinnati or Cleveland tonight?
I'm going Cincinnati. I like what I saw from Joe. I have been burned by Cleveland so many times, like a lot of the world has, believing in the hype. I am off that train until they tell me to get back on by the play. Yeah, Drew Carey, Cleveland does not rock.
The pressure's on the Browns tonight. Not to as bad as they were a week ago. I'm nervous about that. I'm nervous about the sense of urgency of not going 0-2. And generally, a team looks absolutely awful in week 1. They look a lot better in week 2. I like Cincinnati in the points, but I think Cleveland might actually win the game. But I'm going to feel really stupid tomorrow if they go out and they're like the Browns again. Ask us, Charlie and Jake, what was your grandma's favorite story?
Ooh, do you have one in mind?
Yeah. This was a story really about my grandmother. My grandmother would, from time to time, she's a caterer, I told you.
Yeah.
And she would, from time to time, find herself with a little bit of free time, and she would just bake lots of pies.
Right.
And she would stack the pies in her freezer. We're talking about 10, 12 deep in her freezer. And Mimi, what are you doing? And she's making her dead pies. And the reason she did it was anytime somebody would pass away, she'd go over to the house with a pie. Anybody in the neighborhood would go. And she wanted to have the pie ready to go.
Right.
So it's like, what's she doing today? She's making her dead pies. So that's just one of the stories I remember about her.
My mother is adopted, and the story that my grandmother used to tell about driving down to Gainesville, Florida, to meet my mother and to adopt my mother. And just, back then in the early 1960s, it wasn't as easy, and you had to drive a long way from Northwest Louisiana to Gainesville, Florida. And the story she tells and the joy she tells about that moment is something I'll always remember.
Nice. Ask us, would you rather get hit by Ray Lewis going across the middle or a Randy Johnson fastball?
I've been hit by Ray Lewis, and I've lived to tell the story. I don't know about the Randy Johnson fastball. We remember John Kruk when he was in the box in the All-Star game. He wanted to be anywhere else than facing Randy Johnson, and I'm a left-handed batter. So, no, I'll take Ray Lewis all day. Don't give me Randy Johnson.
Are these my only two choices?
That's your only two choices, Andy.
I don't want either one of those.
You got more pads on in one of these situations.
Yeah, the football part. Last one. Ask us, is this OBJ's last game in Cleveland?
No.
I don't think so either.
Last season, maybe, not last game.
Thanks to everybody for participating. Stay tuned for AFR, for Cade, Playboy Marty. For Jacob, I'm Charles saying thank you and good afternoon. This has been Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana